That's what I heard.
I got the longest.
Get my push back that way so I can get through there. I'm gonna be going in now. It's hard.
I scored him. Just to deal with him. Yes. The numbers would be the same variables.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's why I scored CRV.
Yeah.
So I think he maxed out through these. Yeah, he's a seal.
Are they on their way upstairs, Sean?
I believe so, but we don't know a clerk either. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'll give you the. I grab it.
No, if you can, because he's.
Abby, we met in Kennedy.
Yeah.
That's right, I'm pretty good.
Oh, my Lord. You know how many faces I know?
I was just digging.
I feel bad like every day I'm like,
Sorry.
I mean, when I got there when the court was later.
Did Mary want Mary did you do a spreadsheet?
I don't
the attorneys have the questions.
Well, you mean,
The blue binders.
I believe so?
Mr. Austin,
Oh, okay, we can keep one, thank you.
Put in do the signature also with an
the signature is after they're seated. So like after those digits have been selected.
those things. You don't do it as you go. You're not.
Oh, you mean,
Yes.
you said signature.
Sorry, not
no.
signature.
Yes, this is signature. I heard time sheet. Yeah, so you do the, you can do this.
Yeah, time sheet,
I'll
that's.
take this back to this.
You don't want it? Try not. Oh.
I like this because I put it in my binder. So my business. Thank you.
Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is docket 24712 FC, People of the State of Michigan versus Ortiz D'Anthony Anderson. Counsel, your appearances for the record.
Your Honor, good morning. Deputy Chief Assistant Prosecutor Bill Carino on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan. Seated to my right at council table, Your Honor, are Detective Martha McGonigal, my case officer from the Lansing Police Department, and also my legal intern, Emily Aspinwall.
And thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Jared Austin, appearing on behalf of Mr. Martez Anderson, who's present with the council table.
Thank you. Any preliminary matters?
Thank you, Your Honor. There is a few preliminary matters from the people. First of all, as it relates to the currently charged information, counsel and I have had an opportunity to talk about this prior to beginning jury trial here today. As well, we shared this information with the court. The defendant is currently charged in a 6-count information with count 1, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder, and a number of other counts. At this time, prior to proofs in this case, Your Honor, the people are moving to dismiss count 1, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. We will, however, be proceeding on currently charged count 4, assault with intent to murder, and there may be a request for a lesser included instruction. In fact, we anticipate that stipulated from both sides. Understanding that we are moving to dismiss count 1, assault GBH, Your Honor, we did have a conversation in chambers prior to moving forward here today, that while if there is a conviction, we would leave the judgment of sentence and the pre-sentence report to accurately match the currently charged counts. For purposes of reading it to the jury here today, we are going to renumber counts. Assault with intent to murder will be count 1. Carrying a concealed weapon will be count 2. Felony firearm count 3. Assault with a dangerous weapon count 4. And felony firearm count 5. That's the first matter, Your Honor. I'll let Mr. Austin speak to that, and then if people have a matter as it relates to a witness.
That is correct, Your Honor. I obviously have no objection to that. And I think that was probably the intent all along. It was kind of clunky in the bind over language, but I think that was kind of the intent all along. The people ran the prelim in an effort to get the charge elevated to the A1 count, which they were successful at. And I think that was likely supposed to replace the originally charged GBH count, but I obviously have no objection to that. I would agree with the remainder of what Mr. Carino stated, and I think at the conclusion of proofs, I think both sides are likely going to request that GBH be instructed as a lesser included of the A1 count.
And you've jointly agreed to a sequestration order, is that correct?
We have agreed to a sequestration order, Your Honor. All of our witnesses that we called this morning, except one, have appeared. They understand the sequestration orders, and other than Detective McGonigal, who's my case officer, there are no additional witnesses who will be present here today.
That is correct and accurate, Your Honor, and obviously the detective would be exempt from that, as people have designated her as their lead investigating officer.
And we are anticipating that we'll do jury selection and then start with openings on Monday, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, yes. Your Honor, one final matter preliminary from the people. We did call in a number of witnesses this morning, understanding that we were only going to be picking a jury for tactical reasons. The people put on the witness hotline for a number of witnesses to appear. One of those witnesses did not appear. That witness, Your Honor, is identified on our list as witness Jordan, Jordon, Glover, Glover. Mr. Glover was served by email by Detective McGonigal. He then affirmed to her verbally in a phone call that he had received that subpoena via email, so we believe he has been appropriately served. He did not appear this morning. His name was placed on the Union County Prosecutor's Office witness hotline. He did not appear, so at this time we are moving for a bench warrant and can provide the court with any necessary information to prepare that warrant.
Without objection, bench warrant shall issue.
I take no position, and I would leave it at Your Honor's discretion.
Once picked up, he'll be held at the Union County Jail until you call him to testify.
Thank you. Nothing else for the people. We're prepared for the jury, Your Honor.
Yeah, defendant, is there anything further?
No additional preliminary matters at this time, sir.
And as we discussed, initial questioning, and then leave it all up to you, and you can have multiple peremptories, and I'll go to each of you for that. Additionally, I just need to make a record that you reviewed the unredacted juror list. Neither one of you had any objections. I have the unredacted list, but you now have a redacted list for your use, so we don't have names. We will use numbers. I do explain that that's by order of the court. If at any time you wish to approach and review my unredacted list, feel free.
Your Honor, thank you. The people have reviewed that list. We understand the court's instruction. We have no objection.
Yes, Your Honor, I agree. Did have an opportunity to review the unredacted list. I did not recognize the names.
All right. Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth and the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
You need to put your hand down. Have you taken any medication yesterday or today?
No, ma'am.
Are you supposed to be on medication you're not on?
No, ma'am.
Any sign of fever, COVID, or other illness?
No, ma'am.
And you've been able to assist your attorney in preparation of trial?
Yes,
And you've been satisfied with his representation so far?
yes.
All right, very good. The jurors, please. Sir, how do you say your name, Martez, or how do you say your first name?
Martez.
Martez, okay.
And then you'll put.
All rise.
Yes.
And we go over it, we go.
We're gonna go 7 to 1 and then 14 to 8. Reading. There's something there. Oh. It's interesting. It's really funny to look at it. Infection. What that is.
An Iowa.
Come here, guys, come on up front. Start a little way down through here from the barrier, don't lean on the barrier, it'll fall over. Fill in the hall, where's the hallway, just fill in the aisleway right there. They'll take the whole hall, put the whole aisle, sorry. Not many more. All right, just come on in, take up the aisleway there. You're good. Okay, we're good, Judge.
All right, I promise you that those of you standing will have a seat very soon. The rest of you may be seated. Is there anyone standing who actually needs a seat for health reasons? All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Judge Aquilina, and it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you to the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County. I know that jury duty may be a new experience for some of you. Jury duty is one of the most serious duties that members of a free society are asked to perform. Our system of self-government could not exist without it. The jury is an important part of this court. The right to a jury is an ancient tradition and part of our heritage. The law says that both the person who is accused of a crime and the prosecution have the right to a trial, not by one person, but by a jury of 12 impartial persons. Jurors must be as free as humanly possible from bias, prejudice, or sympathy for either side. Each side in a trial is entitled to jurors who keep open minds until the time comes to decide your case. I have a lot of other pages to read, but I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to swear you, and then I'm going to ask some initial questions, which I promise you will clear the room, and then I'm going to turn it over to counsel after I read the remaining instructions that I'm required to read by the Supreme Court. Please raise your right hand and swear to answer truthfully, fully, and honestly all the questions you will be asked about your qualifications to serve as a juror in this case. If you have religious beliefs against taking an oath, you may instead affirm that you will answer all questions truthfully, fully, and honestly. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truthfully and completely answer all questions about your qualifications to serve as jurors in this case?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So I know that jury service may be an inconvenience. I am not immune from jury service either. At least twice I've been called to serve on my own juries, and then I've had to reschedule. What we're looking for is whether or not you can be fair and impartial, and if there is a real hardship, not an inconvenience, but a real hardship. And if there is, you need to tell me about it. If there's something you wish to talk to me about during the course of this, then let me know. And when we take a break, you can tell it to me with only necessary court staff in the room. This is a case that involves multiple counts. I'm going to read them to you. And as I read them to you, remember that defendant has pled not guilty. It is the people's burden to prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If, when I read these, you find, for whatever reason, it's going to trigger you, or you can't be fair and impartial for whatever reason, I want to hear about it. And I will read it more in detail later, but this case is the people of the state of Michigan versus Martez D'Anthony Anderson, and says that on or about July 7th, 2024, in the city of Lansing, county of Hingham, state of Michigan, at 6255 Beachfield Drive, it alleges in count 1, assault with intent to murder. In count 2, weapons carrying concealed. In count 3, weapons, felony firearm. In count 4, assault with a dangerous weapon, also known as felonious assault. In count 5, weapons, felony firearm. There are 5 counts. Just hearing what those counts are and that there are 5 of them, is there anyone who says something must have happened? I don't care what the proofs are, I can't be fair and impartial. You're already starting with negative numbers. If so, and I need your honesty, please raise your right hand. Ma'am, and I also need your number because we keep track of you. And just so you know how important your jury duty is, there are always jurors who do not show. What happens to them? Well, a bench warrant gets issued. They then get picked up and get a nice sheriff Uber ride over to our hotel in Mason, where they might be fortunate enough to try on one of our jumpsuits and stay there for an evening or two before they're brought before a judge, given a fine, and then they still have to serve their jury duty. That's how important your service is. So thank you for being here. Now, ma'am, what is your number and what is your issue?
111, I am a psychologist. I work with victims that have experienced that kind of trauma.
So you would hold that against defendant even without hearing any evidence?
I can't say that I wouldn't, my experiences wouldn't impact me.
So are you saying to me you cannot be fair and impartial to both sides?
Letting you know that I have a conflict of interest.
I don't know if it's a conflict. I mean, if you can use your everyday experience and common sense, listen to the evidence, and decide with your fellow jurors as to what did or did not happen and the credibility or incredibility of the evidence, then you can stay. But if you think that your background, your experience with the people you treat will be brought into this case, then that's a problem. I don't know, only you know.
I think it would be a problem.
On behalf of the people, any objection? Or further voir dire?
Your Honor, thank you. The people would request further voir dire from this potential juror, please.
Would you like to make it now or wait to see if she's called?
We will wait to see if the jury is called, Your Honor, and we would inquire at that time. Thank you.
Defense agrees?
Yes, Your Honor, I have no
Alright.
objection to that approach.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, please stand and tell me your number.
222. My issue is that I'm a diabetic and today is not a good day for me, and that it requires me to spend some time in bed.
Medical issue, we are used to dealing with diabetics, but it sounds like you have maybe a worse case of it, so,
Today is just not a good day.
okay. And I need you to have all good days in a row, so that's not how your medical history has gone, is that right? All right, any objection?
None for the people, Your Honor.
I have no objection, Your Honor, thank you.
You're released, ma'am. You're released, thank you. Anyone else? So you can leave, ma'am. Yes, release means you can leave. Sir, what is your number?
42.
And what is the issue?
My issue is hearing, Your Honor.
Okay, we have,
I wear hearing aids, but even though I have them on right now, the gentleman here at the table, when he stood up, I had a very difficult time trying to hear what he said. I could hear you pretty good,
okay,
but I couldn't hear him.
so we have a headphone set. We're gonna have you try and we'll see if that works. Sometimes it works with hearing aids and sometimes it does not because it is incompatible and you hear buzzing. So let's try that. Thank you for letting me know. And I'm gonna get to the medical issues and other issues as well, but. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Austin, if you could say something?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. It was the first gentleman that I couldn't hear correctly.
Oh. Really? Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
All right.
Does that help or you're gonna still have difficulty?
I think I'm still gonna be difficult because unless I can actually see your mouth, a lot of times I can't, you know what I mean?
Counsel?
Your Honor, I think respectfully that we do deal with hearing issues. I think if he's selected, there'll be more of a one-on-one from the podium. It'll be with a microphone. So I think we should be fine. If people would request some additional voir dire of this witness.
All right, my concern, understanding is that counsel, if he is chosen, counsel will have to make sure that every witness faces him so that the mouth is seen. So he's doing a bit of both hearing and lip reading.
Your Honor, I understand that. I think what the people will do, we'll defer to the defense's position on this, and then ultimately we'll leave it in the court's discretion.
Thank you, counsel.
Mayor, I can certainly appreciate the issues. I have no objection if the court wishes to release him.
Sir, I'm going to release you because the way witnesses go, they're all over the place, and I'm not guaranteeing anybody that you're always going to see lips. So for that reason, you need to hear all the words. All right, thank you. You are released.
Was it 42?
42.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, there were some other hands. Ma'am, what is your number?
235?
325?
Yes.
What is your issue?
235.
235, okay, thank you, 235. What is the issue?
I have fell downstairs and I barely can get around and I'm in a lot of pain.
So will that
Not
distract
bad.
you? Will that distract you from paying attention?
Yes.
And do you take regular medication for that?
Ibuprofen.
I don't need to know what medicine, is it anything that would interfere in your ability to pay attention, or would it make you drowsy? You need to say a word.
Yes.
Okay. On behalf of the people,
No objection, Your Honor.
on behalf of the defendant,
Likewise, I have no objection, Your Honor.
thank you. You are excused, ma'am.
Thank you.
As seats empty, please fill them. Anyone else? And what is your number?
210.
What's the issue?
I have epilepsy, and if I were chosen, if I had a seizure, it would disrupt the case.
So, and I appreciate that. I've had friends with epilepsy and there's different triggers. So would this be a stressful situation that might cause a seizure, or,
Stress.
but would this be a stressful situation where you might have a seizure, or are you controlled by medicine pretty well, or what?
It kind of just comes up randomly at once. Like I do take medications for it, but even then, it doesn't really control it a whole lot.
So let me ask you this. I don't want to get too much into your medical history, but how often do you have seizures?
I had one, my latest one was last month.
On behalf of the people?
Your Honor, the evidence in this case may at points be fairly intense, as well as the deliberative process. So on the side of caution, the people would not object.
Counsel?
I have no objection if the court wishes to release.
Thank you, sir. You're released. Thank you for letting us know. There was another hand. And in the red jacket, what is your number
41.
and what is the issue?
I have the same issue as a man with a hearing problem. I'm completely deaf in my right ear, and I'm hard of hearing in this ear.
So would you like to try the headphone?
I still have to look at people's mouths so that I can see them
All
talking.
right, I'm gonna release you for the same reason. There's no case I've ever had where the witnesses always face the jury. So, and as to medical, if that's a medical issue, you certainly can get a doctor's letter and give it to the clerk so that you avoid showing up. But you have to do that, otherwise that bench warrant issues, okay? All right, thank you, you're released. I don't know if counsel had an objection, but that's my ruling.
No
All right.
objection.
I have no objection.
Thank you. Sir, what's your number?
8.
8? And what is the issue?
Corrections officer?
And so can you be fair and impartial to both
I
sides?
can
I'm
be
sure
fair
you've
and
heard it all.
I can be fair and impartial. I thought maybe it'd be a bias or conflict of interest where I might actually be in charge of him at a later date.
That's not a conflict. We can't
Okay.
do anticipatory,
That's
we
fine.
can't do anything in anticipation of. I don't know how this case, I don't know anything about this case, so I don't know how it's gonna come out either. I don't have a crystal ball. The
I-
question is, can you, given what you know, and I'm sure you've heard it all, good and bad,
Yes,
can you be fair and impartial?
yes,
Can you leave what you have learned or know in the corrections world out of this case?
yes.
You're good. All right, are there any other hands? All right, what is your number, ma'am?
It is number 162.
And what's the issue?
I am the caretaker for my 83-year-old mother, and she's having surgery on Monday. And I have to be in the hospital.
You're excused.
Thank you.
Any objection, counsel?
No objection, thank you.
Thank
No
you.
objection.
Thank you.
And ma'am, or sir, what is your number?
37.
And what's the issue?
I am a caregiver for my adult disabled son and the primary caregiver in the area.
So do you have a backup, like if you're sick or out of town or something?
Well, my wife, but she is currently leaving to go out of town. We don't have any other outside help
When is she leaving out of town?
this afternoon
And how long will she be gone?
for a couple days.
You're excused. Any objection, counsel?
None from the people, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Was
Thank you.
was that 37?
Right. Anyone else? All right, in the corner there, what's your number?
156.
What's the issue?
Been going through some medical issues, working with my doctors, for a few months now, and the issues happen pretty much daily. I had to cancel 2 appointments this week.
You're excused, ma'am. Any objection, counsel?
None, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're excused. Anyone else?
Thank you.
What is your number, sir, in the back?
181.
And what's the issue?
I'm a full-time caregiver for my wife. It requires me to have my phone on me to where if I have to leave work immediately, then I can leave work because of her issues. She has panic attacks and everything like that, to where she can't leave the house, and I have to give her medication.
So how often does that happen?
It can be daily.
Any objection on behalf of the people? Sir, will you be able to pay attention to this trial?
I would be able to, ma'am, but if my wife needs to call me to leave, I would have to leave then. It would be a medical issue if I don't get to her to give her medicine.
Is there anyone else that can fill in?
No, ma'am, I have family in the state, but I don't talk to my family. It's just me, my wife, and my son.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people have no objection based upon that follow-up.
I have no objection as well.
You're excused, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyone else? Please fill in the empty seats. Anyone else? There's a hand. You gotta put it high so I can see it. Okay, what is your number?
178.
What's the issue?
I'm a full-time student at MSU and I have my finals Monday, December 8th through Wednesday, December 10th.
So if you serve, can you make up those exams?
I wouldn't be able to make up, like we have one set exam week and they don't let me do anything outside of the week.
So if you were serving on the jury, would you be able to be attentive to this trial, or would you be worried about your classes?
I would likely be worried about my classes as exams make up to 26% of my grade.
You're excused. Any objection, counsel?
None, Your Honor.
I have none.
You're excused. What is your number, sir, in the back?
218.
What's the issue?
I have the same issue you have. I have final coming up next week.
You're excused. Any objection, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
And, all right, what is your number? Please stand. Please stand.
32.
What's the issue?
Same issue as them, actually, I'm out of state as well. I also out of state.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I have finals as well, and I'm out of state. I was a student out of state.
You're excused. Any objection, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Any other students having exams next week?
Was that 32?
Yes.
All right. All right, please fill in the empty seats.
If you raise your hand, please stand so the judge can see you.
Yeah, I can't. All right, and what is your number, ma'am?
88.
What's your issue?
I have chronic fatigue due to ongoing iron deficiency anemia. I believe that would interfere with my ability to focus.
So can you stay awake for 8 or 9 hours at a time?
Yeah, I just have like brain fog from it.
You're excused. On behalf of the people, objection?
None, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, in the back there, what's your number?
118.
And what's the issue?
I administer the registration program. We have our testing next week. I'm the only one that can do all the administration for it.
Where is that?
It's in Williamston. People come from all over the state and out of state, and if they don't have their exams, they cannot work in Michigan.
What department do you work for?
Department of Agriculture.
Have a seat. Ma'am, if you had COVID, they'd find someone to fill in.
No, the person who would have filled in retired.
Well, that is their problem. Maybe this is a lesson for them. I don't ever believe there's, in such a large department, there's the only person. All right. Anyone else? Okay, any empty seats? Please fill them. Okay. Now, We believe this trial will last up to 1 week. There are some strange times, so I'm going to tell you the schedule now. Monday, we will work from 9 till about 1:15. Tuesday, we will work from 8 to 9:30 with a break for about 2 hours. Oh, well, I guess it's a little bit longer. And then we will work from 2 to 5. So there's early morning and then the afternoon. You get kind of a middle break for 3 or 4 hours. We are unclear about Wednesday. We will only use it if we need it. Thursday, we will work 9 to 5, and Friday, we will work 9 to 5. If you believe the length of trial will be a real hardship, not an inconvenience, please let me know. Anyone?
If you raise your hand, please stand up.
All right. What is your number?
115.
And what's the hardship?
I just started a new job and I have some doctor's appointments coming up next week that are not scheduled.
You're excused. And what is your number?
24.
I'm sorry, 111?
24. 24.
24?
Yes.
And what is the issue?
I run a construction business with like 3 employees and we're kind of at like crunch time. We're trying to get deadlines met before Christmas. We're actually really late for a job, but I would lose out on a significant amount of money. And
So is this a financial hardship?
yes. And it would be
You're excused for
my-
financial hardship.
Thank you.
Yes, please raise your right hand and stand. And if you have an issue, and then what is your number, sir?
165.
What is the issue?
Finances.
You're excused. What is your number in the back?
50.
And what is the issue?
My only thing is Tuesday through Thursday, I take my kids to school. I wouldn't be able to be here until like 9:30, but.
Well, we start generally at 9, except on Tuesday. Is there anyone else who can take them to school?
Pretty much. My mom, but my wife starts work at 7. That's why it's. I could see it. I mean, I could try to figure it out.
All right, have a seat. Thanks for letting me know. And is there any other hands? Yes, what is your number?
My number is 100. I'm a mental health therapist and I see about 30 people a week. So being gone would take a good chunk of my clients' care away and also financial reasons.
So as a therapist, there would be financial hardship?
Yes, if I wasn't working, I only get paid if I see clients, so I would lose out on that money if I wasn't working.
So are you living paycheck to paycheck?
Yes.
You're excused.
Thank you.
Have a seat if there's an empty chair. Anyone else financial hardship? Seeing no hands raised, or that I can see anyway. All right. Now, there may be some of you who have medical issues. You can't sleep at night, so you're drowsy during the day. You take medication during the day that makes you drowsy. You wear Depends or have some other kind of bladder control problem that might make it not just uncomfortable, but for you, but for other people in the room. You have such bad back or other issues where you cannot sit for more than an hour and a half to 2 hours. We generally take breaks every hour and a half. Sometimes it's 2 hours. We don't like to break up testimony, but generally not longer than 2 hours, and we try to make it an hour and a half. Is there anyone who would have difficulty during that time? Sitting. Please stand and tell me your.
I mean, I just got potential back problems. I mean, I'm not trying to get out of it. I'm just saying.
Okay, I do too. I got a pillow. I like to move around.
I mean, there's been times where I just got to lay on the floor for about 10 minutes, you know, just to.
Okay, so if we took a break and you were allowed to lay on the floor in the jury room, you'd be fine?
Yep.
Are you taking any medication for that that might make you drowsy?
I do get drowsy with pain medication that I'm on, yeah, but when it's severe, I don't take it every day.
Okay, so do you think during the week you'll be able to serve? I I don't know your medical history. I don't want to go into it too far and keep your privacy, but you're the only one that can tell us, and I need to make a record.
I can't say how my back's gonna be next week, but I'm just kind of.
Well, how was it last week?
I had lamb for a time, you know.
Great, have a seat, have a seat. All right, anyone else? Can everybody?
There's one in the back.
Okay, what is your number
44,
and what's the issue?
my back, I have arthritis in my back, I also have scoliosis. I've not tried to sit for 2 hours, I don't know.
You don't sit for 2 hours or an hour and a half at a time?
No, if I'm in an airplane, I get up.
You're excused. Anyone else? Can everyone see and hear around the courtroom? Any other medical issue you want to alert me to? Okay, now, you've heard what the allegations are, they're only charges. Is there anyone who has some history where something's happened to you or your family where listening to this case might trigger you? So that you would be unable to listen to the testimony and evidence and look at the pictures? All right, please.
I might as well go ahead and throw this out there. My brother was charged and convicted of murder here in Lansing and is in prison. I don't know if that, you know.
So, no, we appreciate knowing that. So will you bring any of that into this case? Or will this trigger you?
Well, me and my brother, we never really got along, and I knew the whole situation, what was going on, so I'm just.
Okay. Was it
I was again, he did what he did, and I know there was, two sides of it, but, I'm just saying, I was, the brother that, you make your baby lie in that type situation, it kind of brings up stuff from, because of the
So,
whole situation.
was it this Ingham County Prosecutor's Office who handled it?
Yeah.
Can you still be fair and impartial, or do you think that, do you hold that against them in any way?
Against my brother?
No, against the prosecutor's office.
Obviously, I totally, agree with his sentencing and all that, because.
Okay, so you're not holding any grudges one way or the other. Can you listen to the evidence, leave that situation outside the courtroom and deliberate with your fellow jurors?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Could we have for the record that juror's number, please? We didn't
Yes,
get that just-
could you tell me your number again?
16.
Thank you very much.
Do you guys want to see the name?
Potentially at a later time, that's why I inquired, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other issues anyone wants to raise at this point? Okay. Before I continue reading, we are going to call 14 of you into the box, so your numbers are going to change. Right now, you still have your juror numbers. Once you're called into the box, your juror number goes away and you will be known as jurors 1 through 14. You will always, as long as you're seated in the jury box, return to that seat. All right? And as seats empty, please fill them. As to juror seat 7.
Full sequence 80, juror seat 7.
Juror seat 6.
Full sequence 174, juror seat 6.
Juror 5.
Full sequence 19, juror seat 5.
Juror 4.
Full sequence 21, juror seat 4.
Juror 3.
Full sequence 16, juror seat 3.
16. Juror 2.
Full sequence 224, juror seat 2.
Juror 1.
Pool sequence 228, juror seat 1.
Juror seat 14.
Pool sequence 13, juror seat 14.
One more time.
Pool sequence 13.
Gotcha. C14, that's why I got confused.
In the back. Sir, down one check.
Seat 13.
Pool sequence 2, juror seat 13.
Twelve.
Pool sequence 191, juror seat 12.
Was 191.
Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
11.
Pool sequence 27, juror seat 11.
Ten.
Pool sequence 212, juror seat 10.
Nine.
Pool sequence 18, juror seat 9.
And finally, juror 8.
Pool sequence 246, juror seat 8.
All right, there should be plenty of seats now. Please take one. Council, if you could approach.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So I kept my promise, y'all have seats. All right, now I need to get reading and then council will have questions for you. Once questioning begins from myself and council, those of you not seated in the jury box, I need you to still listen to the questions and think about how you would answer them. It's not a time to think about your Christmas list or what you're gonna do in the weekend or what have you. Because we can do this the quick way or the very slow way. And the very slow way is to have counsel, and I have excellent counsel on both sides. And I've worked with both of them for a very long time. And they have hundreds of questions, but their questions become shorter if they can say, did you listen to the questions that were asked? Is there any of them that you want to tell me something about? And they may ask some of the questions repeatedly, but if you pay attention, they don't have to ask all of them again. So please pay attention. A trial begins with jury selection. The purpose of this process is to obtain information about you that will help us choose a fair and impartial jury to hear this case. During jury selection, the lawyers and I will ask you questions. This is called voir dire. You've already seen voir dire. The questions are meant to find out if you know anything at all about this case. Also, we need to find out if you have any opinions or personal experiences that might influence you for or against the prosecution, defendant, or any witness. One or more of these things could cause you to be excused in this particular case, even though you may otherwise be qualified to serve as a juror. The questions may probe deeply into your attitudes, beliefs, and experiences. They are not meant to be an unreasonable prying into your private life. The law requires we obtain this information so an impartial jury can be chosen. If you do not hear or understand a question, please let us know. If you do understand the question, you should answer it truthfully and completely. Please do not hesitate to speak freely about anything you believe we should know. And if there's something that counsel or I fail to ask that you think is important, just let us know what that is, because sometimes after jury selection, and we've sworn a juror will say, well, you never asked me about this, but it might be important, and it was. So please, speak up. During jury selection, you may be excused from serving on the jury in one of two ways. First, I may excuse you for cause. That is, I may decide there's a valid reason why you cannot or should not serve in this case, and you just saw that. Or a lawyer from one side or the other may excuse you without giving any reason at all for doing so. This is called a peremptory challenge. The law gives each side the right to excuse a certain number of jurors in this way. If you are excused, please don't take it personally or feel badly about it. As I explained before, there simply may be something that causes you to be excused from this particular case. The restrictions I'm about to describe are meant to ensure that the parties on each side receive a fair trial. In our judicial system, it's crucial that jurors are not influenced by anything or anyone outside the courtroom. Under the law, the evidence you consider must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the lawyers must be able to cross-examine them. Because information obtained outside the courtroom does not have these safeguards, it could give you incorrect or misleading information that might unfairly favor one side or the other. These restrictions continue until I discharge you from jury service. It is your duty as a juror to decide this case based solely on the evidence you see and hear in this courtroom. You must not consider information that comes from anywhere else. This means that until you deliver your verdict, you must not read, watch, listen to, or receive any information, including opinions or commentary about the case, whether in newspapers, television, the radio, the internet, or on social media platforms. I've read part of the information. I'll be reading the full information in a few moments. We had a situation several months ago where after I read the information and on a break, a potential juror was out in the hallway Googling the lawyers, Googling defendant, Googling the situation, and then came back in and said, I know this or that. At which point I had to release that juror and stop him from talking. Do not do that. Please refrain from doing that. This means that until you deliver your verdict, you must not read, watch, listen to, or receive any information, including opinions or commentary about the case, whether in newspapers, on television, the radio, the internet, or on social media platforms, or information from the internet, from artificial intelligence, any other source. There's lots of sources these days you can get information. This is not a homework class. Do not do anything other than listen to the case, listen to the instructions, answer our questions truthfully. You must also not research any aspect of the case during the trial. This means research using a cellular phone, computer, artificial intelligence, other electronic devices to search the internet, as well as research with traditional sources like dictionaries, encyclopedias, reference manuals, newspapers, or magazines. You must not investigate the case on your own or conduct any experiments concerning the case, including investigation or experiments using the internet, cellular phones, computers, or other electronic devices. You must not visit the scene of any event at issue in this trial. If it would become necessary for you to view or visit the scene, court staff will take you there as a group under court supervision. You must not consider as evidence any personal knowledge you may have of the scene. You must not share any information about the case by any means, including cellular phones or social media. This means that even if you are not discussing the case with someone else, you may not post any information about the case on social media, websites, or in any other manner. If you discover a juror has violated my instructions, report it to court staff or me immediately. You've already met my court officer and law clerk, Brian Ring. He's the go-to person. If you need anything, you want to be reminded of the days we're in trial or where the restrooms are, the restaurants, whatever it is you need, please ask him. My usual court reporter is Nancy Renke. She is not here because her daughter's getting married, so I have some fill-ins that you may see. But our court reporter takes down every word that is said in this courtroom. So what does that mean? That means that you must say yes or no, not nodding or not anything that is a symbol. We can only take down words, otherwise we would be left to guess, and the court reporters and court recorders are not allowed to guess. So please use words that can be found in a dictionary. My judicial assistant, you may not see, but you may talk to her. She's the one who buzzes you in the back, or who, if you call my office, she's the one generally to answer the phone. And she also assists both the staff, myself, and all of you. We have the deputy clerk, Ramiro Guerrero, and he is seated here along with some other clerks who are assisting today. They keep track of all of you along with the court reporter. I've already explained to you that those people who didn't show will have a bench warrant. Similarly, we keep track of you because some people think this is like college where you can just check in and leave. And that's not the case. So if we find out that someone has skated early before I've left, I've allowed you to leave, what happens is a bench warrant will issue. So that's, again, why it's really important that you tell us your number. This is a case, as I've stated earlier, involving the charges of assault with intent to murder, weapons carrying concealed, felonious assault, and felony firearm. These charges have been made against defendant, who is Martise Anderson. Defendant's lawyer is Jared Austin. Mr. Austin, please stand, introduce yourself and your client, who should also stand. And please let the jurors all see you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So again, my name is Jared Austin, and I'm here to represent Mr. Martez Anderson.
Thank you. And the lawyer for the state of Michigan is Assistant Prosecuting Attorney William Crino. Mr. Crino, please stand, introduce yourself, those people at council table, and any potential witnesses you may call in this case.
Your Honor, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is William Crino. I am Deputy Chief Assistant Union County Prosecutor. I'd like to introduce the people that are seated at my council table and will be with us throughout the trial. First of all, we have Detective Martha McGonigal from the Lansing Police Department. And then we have Emily Aspenwall, who is a law student at Michigan State University. We have a number of witnesses that we anticipate may be called in this case, and those witnesses are identified as follows. Officer Damon Pulver, Officer Mark Fox, Jordan Glover, Cameron Washington, Miles Washington, Davion White, Dr. Nicole Fracticelli, Anaya, A-N-A-E-Y-A, Artrell Jackson, Christopher Lewandowski, Officer Nicholas Shading, Officer Matthew Stevens, Amanda Hall from the Lansing Police Department, and again, Detective Martha McGonigal. Good morning and thank you very much.
On behalf of the defendant, will you be calling, would you like to name any additional witnesses?
Your Honor, we would be relying on the people's witness list as already named.
Thank you. Now, does anyone know defendant, any of the lawyers, or any of the witnesses named? And there may be a witness named who you might think you know. A lot of people have the same names, even though we all like to believe we have special names. The world is big and a lot of people have the same name. So if you're not sure, counsel can tell you more about that person. Juror 7, who is it you think you know?
My childhood friend is Detective McGonigal.
And how often do you see him? Her, I'm sorry.
Not often.
And have you and she spoken about this case?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and based on how you know each other, can you be fair and impartial? Or does she automatically get credibility because you know her?
I can be fair and impartial.
Okay. And in the back, please stand and tell me your number.
103. I believe I may know one of the witnesses, but I can't publicly put the HIPAA violation.
You can't what?
I don't know if I can like publicly disclose which witness I know because it would be a HIPAA violation. I work at community mental health, so I can't name a specific.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know about that person, can you be fair and impartial?
I think I can, yeah.
I don't want to think.
Yeah,
So you can be fair and impartial? And whatever you know about them, you can leave that outside of the courtroom, listen to the testimony, and give it whatever weight or lack of weight it deserves.
Yes, I just wanted it to be like known. I didn't want to just keep the I might know that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. You may have a seat. And juror 10.
I know Amanda Hall, that works for the police department. I can be very impartial, respond to this.
Have you talked about this case with her?
No,
And how often do you see her?
not very often.
Okay, thank you. And please stand and give me your number.
4, I believe I know one of the witnesses. I went to high school with them.
Can you tell us which one?
Jackson.
And when was the last time you saw that person?
Probably high school, 10 years ago.
Based on what you know about them, can you be fair and impartial to both sides?
I was pretty close to that person when I went to high school with them. We played the same sports and stuff like that, so I wouldn't say so.
So tell me about that.
We had a similar class. We had the same class.
Well, no, tell me why so do you think that every human being always tells the truth?
No.
Okay, so could you listen to that person's testimony and weigh whether it fits in with the rest of the facts or not and decide if it's credible or incredible testimony? Or are you going to believe her no matter what because she was a teammate?
I was gonna go the opposite way, but yes.
Or you were gonna disbelieve her?
Disbelieve her, yeah.
Him, okay. Counsel?
Can we approach, please?
Yes. All right, ma'am, you're released. Thank you for your honesty. Anyone else? Yes, sure, one.
One of the witnesses, I believe I also went to high school with, Cameron Washington,
Okay, and when was the last time you saw that person?
probably high school 10 years ago.
And based on your relationship and what you know about that person, can you be fair and impartial?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, and You can listen to their testimony and decide whether it's credible or incredible and whether it fits or doesn't fit with the rest of the facts. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, seeing no hands raised. This is a criminal case. The paper used to charge defendant with a crime is called an information. The information in this case charges defendant Martez Anderson and reads as follows. That on or about July 7th, 2024, in the city of Lansing, county of Hingham, state of Michigan, at a specific location known as 6255 Beachfield Drive, defendant did in count 1 make an assault upon Miles, M-Y-L-E-S, Washington, with intent to commit the crime of murder. This is known as assault with intent to murder and is contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan. Count 2. Defendant did carry a dangerous weapon, to wit, a handgun, concealed on or about his person. This is known as count 2, weapons carrying concealed, and is contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan. Defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit a felony, to wit, assault with intent to murder. This is count 3, weapons, felony, firearms, and contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan. Defendant did make an assault upon Martell, M-A-R-T-E-L-L, Jackson, with a dangerous weapon, to wit, a pistol, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. This is known as count 4, assault with a dangerous weapon, also known as felonious assault, and is contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan. Defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit a felony, to wit, assault with a dangerous weapon, also known as felonious assault. This is known as count 5, weapons, felony, firearm, and is contrary to the laws of the state of Michigan. A person accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. This means that you must start with the presumption that defendant is innocent. This presumption continues throughout the trial and entitles defendant to a verdict of not guilty unless you're satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty. Every crime is made up of parts called elements. The prosecutor must prove each element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Defendant is not required to prove his innocence or to do anything. If you find that the prosecutor has not proven every element beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find defendant not guilty. A reasonable doubt is a fair, honest doubt growing out of the evidence or lack of evidence. It is not merely an imaginary or possible doubt, but a doubt based on reason and common sense. A reasonable doubt is just that, a doubt that is reasonable after a careful and considered examination of the facts and circumstances of this case. Again, I'm going to remind you that you need to speak in words and answer counsel's questions fully. We're going to continue probably through the lunch hour, because otherwise I have to take an hour and a half break, only to come back and release you shortly thereafter. Once both counsel get through questioning, it does tend to go quicker and we will give you a break. Is there anyone that needs a break right now? All right. Oh, there's someone back. All right, we're gonna take just a quick 10 minutes and then Mr. Crino, you'll be up.
Thank you.
And everyone must leave the courtroom for this break.
All rise.
I'll come back in the court, just kind of hang out there, do a little call.
And as the jurors, when you come in, if you just line up kind of in your order, and then you just stream back in, you'll have to come into the spots, all right? Okay, we'll see you in 10 minutes. May take a little bit longer because they have to account for everybody, for us, but I'll start doing that soon. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Good luck.
I've got his mom's number too. I'll call her as well.
Yeah, tell them that eventually once about the issue.
We don't want to do that. Yeah, I can do it.
You don't mind, thanks so much.
I got it.
Yeah, Mark, I'll do you. That way.
I'll send her a report.
No, it's fine. I agree. He's like the person I.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's not. Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My bad, so you can imagine. That door right there, two of them.
Okay, are you good with that? Yeah.
The courtroom's locked anyways.
Okay.
Make sure she doesn't pull anything out.
I'm not really concerned.
Pull something.
No guns in there, right?
No, okay.
I hate jury selection. It's the worst. Because I never.
And they're always in the back, and it's like.
And then I'm like, all right,
I know why you didn't come in front. I couldn't hear me say it out there. Fair,
They're like, what?
fair. But you heard me call your number off, so you at least heard enough.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Carino, when you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning, almost afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we are here today for an extremely important reason. We are here today to select a fair and impartial jury in an assault with intent to murder case. All of you have been taken away from your daily lives and your daily routines, and we appreciate that. But remember, as we go through this process together here, that we are here for an extremely important reason. Ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is William Carino. I'm Deputy Chief Assistant Ingham County Prosecutor. It is my privilege and it is my pleasure to stand before you here this morning representing the people of the state of Michigan in this most serious matter. Juror number 11, I'm going to just pick you at random. You're now all numbers, very uncomfortable. Good morning. Juror number 11, can you tell me, what does a fair and impartial jury mean to you?
And to me, it means that you are able to view both sides of the case and review that information without any bias or judgment.
Okay, thank you. Juror number 6, good morning. What does a fair and impartial jury or juror mean to you?
Fair and impartial juror to me is you're able to look at just the facts of the case without or outside bias, and then based on the information presented, come to a reasonable.
Thank you. Those are both really good answers. And in fact, you're going to be instructed, you already have been instructed by Judge Aquilina this morning, that a juror or a fair and impartial juror means someone who is, quote, as free as humanly possible from bias, prejudice, or sympathy for either side. Each side is entitled to jurors who keep an open mind until the time comes to decide the case. So your answers really mirror what the instructions Judge Aquilina has and will give you in this case. Well, how do we find out if you are a fair and impartial juror, what I will refer to in this voir dire as a clean slate, a clean sheet of paper? Well, we go through this very difficult and sometimes boring and lengthy process together. So as we go through that, we are trying to find out if there's anything about this case or the persons involved that could bring up some type of bias or prejudice. We all come to this room from different backgrounds and different environments, and to talk through those openly and honestly to see if you will be a fair and impartial juror for both the people and the defendant in this most important matter. So as we go through that, there are only 2 rules that I have. The first one goes to the panel here today. There are no right or wrong answers. No one will judge your answers. There are only your answers. And it's so important that you are honest and forthcoming with both me and my colleague, Mr. Austin. And to the people who are in the back of the room, Judge Aquilina mentioned this. We don't want to repeat all of these questions. We really do. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we really do want to maximize your time. So if you listen to the questions we ask and you come up in the box and we say, do you have any answers for us? You will have listened and we can save time going through this litany of questions. So those are the only 2 rules that the people have this morning. So I have a checklist that I'm going to go through so you know exactly what I'm going to cover here today, again, to maximize your time. I want to talk a little bit about any media coverage that you may have heard on this case. I want to go through your employment history. I want to go through what everyone's job is in this case, your job as a juror. And I want to talk about legal instructions and credibility in that topic. I want to talk about types of evidence that you're going to hear. I want to talk about what the burden of proof is and who has that burden of proof. I'm going to talk about a topic called aiding and abetting or assisting someone else in committing an act. And then I'm going to talk to you about sympathy and potential for punishment. So those are the basic topics, along with anything else that comes up during our conversations here this morning that we're going to cover. So let's just jump right in, and I want to talk about media coverage. As Judge Aquilina has advised, In this case, the defendant, Martez Anderson, is charged with assault with intent to murder, carrying a concealed weapon, felony firearm, assault with a dangerous weapon, and felony firearm. The people allege that this incident occurred on July 7th of 2024 at the location of 6255 Beachfield Drive, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan, on the south side of Lansing. The people will allege in this case that there were two victims in this cause. One is identified as 21-year-old Miles Washington, and the second will be identified as 20-year-old Martrell Jackson. So based on that limited summary that I've just given you and what the court has read to you, is there anyone who has read about this case in any of the local media outlets, heard anything either online or on live TV, or even discussed this with any neighbors or colleagues? Has anyone heard anything about this case? All right, so juror number 3.
I mean, I just remember hearing about it on social media. I follow 517, whatever it is, that they be the local.
Yeah, perfect.
Stuff.
So you.
I mean, I just remember the street.
Got it.
And and Lansing just kind of used to hearing stuff like,
Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so let me ask you just a quick series of questions. Sounds like you heard something about it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you recall specifically what the facts of this case are?
No.
Have you formed an opinion, sir, one way or the other, as to what the facts of this case are?
I just remember the street, and I just remember there was an assault, so.
All right.
I know, but no.
And it doesn't sound like you have made a decision one way or the other about guilt or innocence, anything else, correct?
Right.
If you were selected as a juror, could you put whatever you saw online out of your head and just listen to the cold hard evidence in this courtroom? And it wouldn't affect your ability to evaluate witnesses or testimony in this case?
I'm according to the online.
Okay, great, thank you. Other than juror number 3, has anyone heard, read, seen, discussed anything about this case prior to coming into court? Okay, so that's a no from the whole panel for the record. If while we're discussing the case, something comes up, please bring that to our attention. Okay, you can bring anything to our attention as we discuss this, all right? So topic number 1 is down. Topic number 2 is employment history, and I think we can find out a lot about one another going through the discussion of what you do for a living. So let me start. I'm going to do out of the order. I'm going to look at juror number 14. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a physical education teacher.
Wonderful. And what grade level do you teach physical education?
This year's K-5.
How long have you been a physical education
28 years.
teacher? 20 years. Thank you. Juror number 13.
I'm a retired teacher, 28 years at Lansing Community College.
What subject matter did you teach at LCC? Are you working in your retirement or enjoying your retirement?
I'm working.
Okay.
I'm ready to teach.
Wonderful, okay. Juror number 12.
I work at a Ford dealership as an automotive technician. I've been working there since February.
I didn't hear you said you work at what type of?
Ford dealership.
Oh, Ford dealership, great. And what work do you do at that Ford dealership?
Mostly oil changes, sometimes brake works. I'll do alignments as well.
How long have you been doing that kind of work?
I haven't been doing it very long. I only started since February. That was the first job I've been doing that kind of thing. Before then, I worked at Culver's for about a year.
All right, excellent, thank you. Juror number 11, hello again. Tell me what you do for a living, please.
Excuse me, I'm a teacher.
What grade level do you teach?
I teach 8th grade and 7th grade.
How long have you been a middle school level teacher?
21 years at middle school, and I did 6 years of elementary, 3rd grade before that.
All right, I don't want to know your exact school district, but I do want to know, do you work within the Lansing School District?
I do not.
Okay. Have you ever?
I have not.
Okay. Juror number 10?
I work for a maintenance supervisor for a property management company.
Can you tell me the exact type of work that you do, sir?
Is that?
Can you tell me the exact type of work that you do in that
Fix
capacity?
everything to do with apartments and housing, floors, roofs, drywall.
Gotcha. The incident in this case occurred on south side of Lansing at an apartment complex. I believe that's called Fairfield Place. Have you ever done any work over there?
I have not done any work. But I do work on the south side, Lansing, south side whole.
Okay, but you're not familiar with Fairfield Place?
That's all.
Okay, great, thank you. Number 9,
I work as a kindergarten aide, part-time,
how long have you been doing that kind of work?
a year and a half.
What were you doing before that?
I worked at Jackson as part-time also as a project manager for the creative group.
Very good, thank you. Jury number 8, hi.
Hi, I'm an attorney with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
So attorneys always get lots of questions from me,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm sorry about that. So, so tell me what you do, please. What is your practice area?
I am internal counsel for the Department of Health and Human Services. I oversee the public benefits part of. Prior to that, I was a probation officer for district court.
Oh, okay. How long have you been practicing for?
28 years.
28 years? Now, obviously your job is on the civil side now, correct?
Correct.
Have you ever practiced on the criminal side?
I did for about 2 years doing defense work.
Defense work? In Lansing area?
Detroit and Novi, like Warren and Novi.
And when you did your defense work, were you on your own or were you with a firm?
Both.
Both. And why did you make, I'm just curious, why did you make the jump from criminal to civil?
I started working for the state of Michigan.
In what capacity?
I first worked in child support
Okay,
and then I moved to legal affairs.
very good. You were a probation officer before that?
I was.
In what county, please?
It was Wayne County, Redford, and it was district court.
How long did you work as a probation officer?
2 years before law school,
Did you do that while you were going to school?
right before.
So you have a really varied background. Obviously, the last 28 years or so, you've been on the civil side, but you certainly have worked on the criminal side. Anything about your work on the criminal side you believe would make you biased? I guess it would have to be first towards the prosecution because you were on the defense side. Is there anything about your work as a lawyer and in the criminal field that would make you biased towards prosecution, police, anything of that nature?
No. I should let you know, I do work with the Attorney General's office.
Okay. And in what part of the Attorney General's do you work with?
I work with the Health and Education, Family Services, and the Corporate Oversight Divisions.
Okay.
And we do some of the fraud cases. I assist.
All right. Do you recognize my last name as connected with the Attorney General's office? You do not? All right, so you don't think that you have any bias towards the people, and I guess fair question, do you have any bias towards the defense side based upon your work in the legal field, especially in the area of defense probation? Sounds like you believe you could be a fair and impartial juror if you were selected in this case?
Of course.
All right, great, thank you so much, all right. Juror number 1, good, you're gonna get the first good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What do you do for a living?
I work in retail at a grocery store.
I think you told us initially, or you told Judge Aquilina that you knew Cameron Washington, is that correct? What was your relationship to Cameron Washington?
We had mutual friends. It is the same Cameron Washington. We had mutual friends in high school.
Could be kind of a common name potentially.
Right, right.
Did you go to school in the city of Lansing?
East Lansing.
Oh, East Lansing. It may very well be a different Cameron Washington, but still, this particular Cameron Washington that you knew, anything about that relationship that would cause you to be biased or prejudiced against either side in this case? Do you think you would be fair and impartial even though you have that affiliation with Mr. Washington? Okay. What kind of retail work do you do?
Grocery store.
Great. How long have you been doing that for?
A year and a half.
What did you do before that?
I was a waitress for about 7 years.
Great, thank you. Juror number 2, tell me what you do for a living, please, sir.
I teach high school construction technology.
What is your background as a person who teaches in that field? Or did you go to college for that, or were you more?
No, I worked out in the trades for several years.
Great. How long have you been teaching?
This is my 4th year.
Very good. You work in the city of Lansing, or do you work in out county?
Out.
Okay. Juror number 3, tell me what you do for a living, please. Sir, yes.
Okay.
I was going by 16 still.
I know, it's a nightmare, and it's like the world's worst social interaction, I realize that, so I apologize. You're now juror number 3. You
Okay.
go out there, you're juror number 16, okay? So, juror number 3, tell me what you do for a living, please.
I'm a home health care, for a gentleman of 19 years.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that for?
19
Oh,
years.
19 years, all right. Sir, thank you so much for your answer that you gave us early. I know that's probably very difficult for you to talk about, so I am going to ask you some follow-up questions about that. You said that your brother, I believe, had been convicted of the crime of murder, is that correct?
Correct.
And was that in Ingham County?
Yes.
Can you tell me the year that was, please?
2018, or, I want to say 2018, 2019, yeah, I think it's 2018, 17 or 18.
And sir, we did have occasion to look at your juror questionnaire, so I know what your last name is. Does your brother have the same last name?
Yes.
It does. And so at the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office, I'm chief of the homicide unit, but I don't recognize your brother's name. Do you know the defendant's name in that case? Where he was the defendant and he has the same name as you, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were there any other defendants involved?
No, I mean, he admitted to it. There was no trial.
He pled guilty?
In fact, I believe she was a sentencing judge. I can't pronounce her name.
Judge Aquilina?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know who the trial prosecutor was in that case?
You know, that was such a blur. I knew both the victim and my brother, and so I was real close with both, and so that's why, you know, I was kind of like, you know.
Yeah, no, I understand. And do you know who the defense attorney was in that case?
I can't.
Last question, did the Lansing Police Department handle your brother's case? All right, so let me go through some questions. That's a big event in your life. Do you believe that the Lansing Police Department treated your brother or your family fairly in that case when they investigated it? Did you have any complaints about the Lansing Police Department?
There was no question. He admitted it at the scene. You know, like, he didn't even fight it because he was so, you know.
I get it.
But, you know, even though I don't condone what he did, there was, you know, both sides were, you know, there was alcohol and drugs, you know.
Right, and so what I'm trying to get at, we talked about our definition of a fair, impartial jury. So do you have any bad feelings, for example, towards the Lansing Police Department for bringing the case against your brother? Or do you have any bad feelings against the prosecutor's office for prosecuting your brother? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any of those bad feelings, any animosity?
No.
Okay, so if you were selected as a juror in this case, would your mindset be, I don't like police officers, and I don't like the prosecutor, and I don't care what the evidence is, I'm ruling against them? Would you feel like that because of what happened to your brother?
No.
Okay, you believe you could set that aside and be fair and impartial in this case? Okay, great. Thank you so much for your candor. I appreciate it, okay? Juror number 5, good afternoon, sir. What do you do for a living?
I'm a barber.
Okay, how long have you been doing that for?
7 years.
Are you on your own?
Yeah,
And do you work in a city of Lansing or outside?
outside.
Okay, thank you. Juror number 5. Can you tell me what you do?
I coach women's soccer at Michigan State.
Okay. And I don't know where Mr. Ring is, but he informed us that you had a good season, so that's good. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Something good coming over from the fall sports side. How long have you been a women's soccer coach?
20 years.
20 years. Thank you. And juror number 6?
Home equity,
How long have you been doing that kind of work?
I've been doing underwriting for 4 years now, but I've been in banking for 10.
Right. Do you work on your own or do you work with a larger company?
With a larger.
Do you have an MBA to do that or just a bachelor's to do that?
I do have an MBA, but it's not required.
Very good, okay. Thank you. And lastly, juror number 7, tell me what you do for a living.
I work at a church as a worship administrative assistant.
Okay. Can you tell me what your job duties are, please?
Yeah, behind the scenes stuff, computer stuff, communication with people, volunteers, scheduling, things.
How long have you been doing that kind of work for?
About 6 months.
All right, what were you doing before that?
For 5 years before that, I managed a retail shop in Lynette.
Okay, great. So you let us know initially that you were at least childhood friends with Detective McGonigal, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Judge Aquilina followed up, but we want to make sure that our record is very clear. We're looking for fair and impartial jurors who don't have biases or prejudice or against either side. Does that make sense? Is there anything about your relationship with Detective McGonigal that maybe even implicitly you might say, well, you know, if she's on the case, the people's case must be accurate, or if she investigated the case, it must be accurate, or conversely, I never believe a word that my childhood friend would say. You know, I'm sure it's not either of those poles, but do you think you can set that aside, or do you feel any express or implicit bias here?
Well, I would hope that I could set that aside. I definitely know her and I do not know the defendant, so I just, you know, I possibly would be more inclined to her over him.
Okay, would you do your best to set aside any biases and try to be that clean slate, fair and impartial juror?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, 2 topics down, cruising right through it. I want to talk a little bit about what everyone's job is in this courtroom, because it's pretty confusing when we walk in here. What are we here for? What's our job? Everybody in this courtroom has a job. The attorney's job is to present and cross-examine evidence for you in this case, to present the evidence to you. Judge Aquilina will tell you that it is her job. She has lots of jobs, but one of her primary jobs is to instruct you on the law. Okay, and that you must take the law exactly as Judge Aquilina gives it to you. She's read some of the law this morning already, and as the case goes on, she's going to read you a lot of law. You have to accept what she says about the law as the law. Does that all make sense? Okay. The judge is going to tell you in this case, she's going to instruct you that it's your job as jurors, your sole job, to decide what the facts of this case are, and what you decide when you deliberate about the facts of this case, that's final. And then your job in the jury room is to decide what the facts are and then apply that to Judge Aquilina's law, and in that way decide the case. Does that make sense? So we all have a job. We present the facts, you decide what they are, she gives you the law, and you apply the facts to the law. Does that all make sense? All right. Juror number 10, let me ask you, sir. Do you believe that when you are deciding this case, you will and can follow only Judge Aquilina's law?
Yes.
All right, it's a good answer, right? But what if you didn't agree with the law? What if you said, man, I don't like that law. That goes against my personal beliefs. The judge is telling me I have to follow this law, but I don't like that. Whose law are you going to follow, yours or hers?
Hers.
Okay.
The one that I do.
Good, good. You got 3 good answers in there, all right. Juror number 5, just because it's that time of year, you know, the example would be, Judge Aquilina says, someone who is a University of Michigan football fan, you have to believe them 100%, and you being affiliated with state say, I'm not going to believe anything that a University of Michigan football fan.
That would be correct.
All right. Again, if you have a personal belief that goes against her law, whose law are you going to follow, sir?
Hers.
Okay. Is there anybody on the panel, and some people are very principled about this, and in some cases the law can get pretty dicey, but is there anyone who feels that they simply might not be able to follow the judge's law if they disagree with that? Is there anybody on the panel who'd like to bring that to my attention? Okay, that's a no from the whole panel. One of the specific areas of law that may, and I stress may, come up in this case is something called aiding and abetting. And I don't mean to be corny because we have a soccer coach on here, but this literally is on my page as an analogy. So if we have someone in a soccer game, someone kicks the ball to someone else, and then that person kicks that ball into the goal. Okay, someone has scored the goal, someone has assisted in that goal, and they are both part of that process in scoring a goal. Does that make sense to you all? Okay. And I think we can go on in the sports context with similar types of analogies. One person gives the ball to another person, they score a touchdown, whatever. Okay. In the criminal context, the law is similar, very analogous. And I'm dating myself, but there was a movie in the 1980s called The Accused. and starring Jodie Foster, and it involved a very serious sexual assault that occurred inside of a bar. Someone actually perpetrated the sexual assault. Someone was at the door acting as a lookout. Someone was standing there cheering for the person to commit this criminal act. All three of those people had criminal culpability as something called aiders and abettors, okay? One of the instructions you may be read in this case is as follows. Under aiding and abetting, anyone who would intentionally assist someone else in committing a crime is as guilty as the person who directly commits it and can be convicted of that crime as an aider and abettor. All right, so that's what we're talking about. Aiding and abetting just means knowingly assisting. All right, juror number 8, our lawyer, you are familiar obviously with aiding and abetting, is that correct?
Yes,
Do you understand and accept that is the law in the state of Michigan?
I do.
If you were on this jury and the judge instructed you on aiding and abetting, would you be able to apply the rules? And of course, there's many more, but would you be able to apply those rules in evaluating the facts of this case to determine if someone aided and abetted another?
Yes.
Are you offended by that law, ma'am? Does that bother you? Okay. Juror number 1, what about you? Does that offend you that the person who kicks the ball for the assist is as equally responsible as the person who scores the goal in the criminal context? Does that offend you?
No, it does not.
If you were instructed on that, would you be able to follow that law?
Yes.
Is there anyone who feels they wouldn't be able to follow Judge Aquilina's law if you were instructed on this topic of aiding and abetting? All right, that's a no from the panel. All right. I want to talk a little bit about your job, and if we get into, you know how they say that questions can probe deeply into your attitudes? If any of my questions do, these are the ones that will do that, okay? I want to talk about judging credibility of witnesses. You're going to be instructed in this case that as jurors, you must decide what the facts are. This is your job and nobody else's. You must think about all the evidence and decide what each piece of evidence means and how important you think it is. This includes whether you believe what each of the witnesses said. What you decide about any fact in this case is final. Juror number 12. Have you ever heard the term credibility?
Yes.
Okay. Your job will be to determine the credibility, the believability of people who testify to you. Is that correct? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you a person who could do that, sir? Do you think you could sit and judge another person's credibility?
Yes.
Do you have any moral or ethical reasons why you might not do that? 13, what about you? Do you think you are a person that could sit and judge another human being's credibility, or would you have some problems with that?
I believe I could, yes.
By a show of hands, how many parents do we have on a jury? Okay, lots of parents, all right. Thank you. Juror number 14, have you ever been in a situation where you have to determine what child might be telling the truth in a given circumstance, or whether your child in a particular is telling the truth or not? Have you been in that situation?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you look at in evaluating?
I listen to both sides of the story
Mhm.
and make the facts of what they say.
Great. So let's say there was some spray paint on the wall and one of your kids said, no, I didn't do any spray painting, and then they had red spray paint all over their hands, right? That might be something you consider in your credibility examination, right?
Correct.
You might look at the totality of the evidence. Okay. In this case, Judge Aquilina is going to give you a list of factors. They're non-exhaustive, but they're just kind of a list to help you understand and evaluate credibility. And one of those will be, all in all, how reasonable is the testimony in light of all the evidence presented, like the red spray paint, okay? Is there anyone on this panel who believes they might not be able to judge another person's credibility or follow the instructions on how to judge credibility? Sounds like, oh, juror number 4.
I feel like I can follow it, but I also feel kind of in that sense.
That's a-
that I hear in my line of work, I hear bull crap all day.
All right.
So
That's a-
automatically, when somebody tells me something, I don't believe them.
That's a great answer, okay? And that's what I want to hear. Tell me about that. So is it, and again, refresh me on what you do for a living?
A
again?
barber.
A barber, okay. You got a lot of people chirping in the, okay. What kinds of things do look at to determine whether you think someone might be just chirping or whether they're actually telling the truth about a story they're relating?
Seems like to me most of that needs to be, if I hear something like, every time I talk to them, if I keep on hearing the same thing, after a while, I'm like, okay, that does line up. It's like they almost have to prove that they're trustworthy before.
Like consistency of story, sure, okay. What other kinds of things might you want to look at? These are really helpful, so what else?
Just in general.
Just their lifestyle.
So you're bragging me about the kind of cars they drive, that got them pulling up in
You know what's funny is that, thank you for these answers. I'm not going to read them to you, but you're kind of summarizing the list of things that Judge Aquilina is going to tell you in the instructions to look at. You know, the consistency of stories, whether it agrees with all the other evidence, whether there's other, all of the age, all these things. So it sounds like, from what you're telling me, you might be a person who could follow a judge's law, even though you kind of feel a little bit jaded, right? Okay, very cool, thank you. Let me tell you about some of the things that you cannot consider in judging a person's credibility. And this is so important. So I do want to read this to you. You will be instructed in this case, before you deliberate, in deciding whether you believe a witness's testimony, you must set aside any bias or prejudice you may have and not be influenced by a witness's disability, gender identity, race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, national origin, or socioeconomic status. All right. So again, disability, gender identity, race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, age, national origin, socioeconomic status are things that you cannot consider in your credibility evaluation. They do not have that place in our courtroom. And the judge will ask you, take the time you need to test what might be automatic or instinctive judgments and to reflect carefully about the evidence, right? So we all come from different backgrounds and have different implicit and express biases, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. So I'm going to ask some tough questions. Nobody is giving me a face if I pick on you that suggests some problem. I'm literally randomly picking on you, okay? And the first and most important question I want to talk about is the issue of race, all right? You see in this case that the defendant is a person of color, and you will hear in this case that the victim and many of the witnesses are persons of color, okay? Does anyone, I'll start with juror number one, for example, do you have any bias or prejudice against Black people or persons of color that might prohibit you from being a fair and impartial juror in this case? No. Does the race of the defendant, the victims, or the alleged victims, the witnesses, does that impact how you might evaluate anyone's credibility in this case, or is it a non-issue for you? All right, juror number two, what about you, sir? Do you feel like you have any express or implicit biases that might affect how you judge the credibility of witnesses, knowing that's the background that they're from?
No.
All right, juror number four, as a barber, anything that might be express or implied bias that you have as it relates to race? All right, juror number six, let me ask you, is race an issue for you in this case? For example, if the panel was the same composition it is right now, you would be the only person of color on the jury. Would that affect your decision-making, your deliberation, or anything else? Okay. Thank you for that answer. Does anyone feel that they have any types of biases or prejudices against any racial background that could inhibit them from being a fair and impartial juror? All right, that's a no from the panel. Kind of my first hardest question, okay? My next question is something called socioeconomic status, all right, which kind of can parlay into both. You may hear testimony from people who are from different socioeconomic places in our community. Does anyone feel that they have any implicit or expressed biases against people who have less money than other people, or people who live a different lifestyle? Does anybody feel that they have those prejudices they might bring to the table? Is that a no from the panel? All right. Those are my two toughest questions, and thank you all for handling them. Let me bring it up a notch, and let's talk about police officers, because everyone wants to ask police officers. That's good. So, has anyone ever had, I don't even want to look, has anyone had a negative interaction with a police officer I'm not talking about a traffic ticket. But has anyone had a negative interaction with a police officer that will make you biased automatically against a police officer? Please be honest. Anybody? Okay. Does anyone conversely love police officers so much that they think nothing a police officer does could possibly be wrong? Is there anywhere on that floor? That's no on both questions. Judge Aquilina will again instruct you about police officer testimony. And what she's going to tell you is you have to evaluate police officer testimony the exact same way you evaluate everybody else. That's it. All right. For number 10, do you think you can use that instruction when you look at police officer testimony? Absolutely. Juror number 9, what about you?
Yes.
I've spoken for a bit here. Juror number 5, you think you can evaluate a police officer's testimony the same as anyone else?
Yes.
Is there anyone on this panel at all, please bring this to my attention, that is just simply would not believe a police officer because of the fact that they're a police officer? That's a no from the panel. Thank you. All right, I'm getting a little close here. In fact, I just have two additional areas I want to go into. You hear on the television, in crime novels and documentaries, this topic of beyond a reasonable doubt and burden of proof. What does that mean? All right, well, it is important to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that as the defendant sits here at that table, he is presumed innocent of any of these allegations, presumed innocent, meaning if any of you had to go back and deliberate right now, your verdict is not guilty. Does that make sense? That's that presumption that this defendant and any other criminal defendant is cloaked with in the United States. In order to remove that cloak or that presumption of innocence, the burden falls on me as the assistant prosecutor representing Ingham County. And I must, on behalf of Ingham County, prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is in fact guilty of some or all of these allegations, okay? I have, on behalf of the people, the burden of proof. As I'm sure my colleague will discuss with you, he has no burden of proof whatsoever. All right, that's what that means. So, juror number, I'm going to pick on here a little bit. I want to pick on juror number 7. What does beyond a reasonable doubt mean to you?
I would need to see and hear all the facts presented. That the crime occurred. If that wasn't presented, I would not be able to say guilty word.
Juror number 6, what about you? What is beyond a reasonable doubt for you?
For me, beyond reasonable doubt, means that with the evidence that's presented, that there is no other reasonable.
All right, thank you. Juror number 2, for example, what does beyond a reasonable doubt mean to you?
Based on the evidence presented, any reasonable person would not have any doubt that of the person's guilty.
All right, these are all excellent answers. One time I was at the YMCA many years ago when I started out being a prosecutor, and I heard 2 people talking in the locker room, and they said, the prosecutor didn't prove the case beyond a shadow of all doubt. I went, oh, that's not the standard, okay? It's not beyond all possible doubt under the world, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, and all of you have sort of isolated the issue very well. But ultimately, the definition of beyond a reasonable doubt, if you're selected, when you go into that jury room that you have to talk about and discuss and evaluate the facts, is Judge Aquilina's definition and no other definition. If I stand up and give you an analogy of beyond a reasonable doubt, or if my colleague gives you an analogy of beyond a reasonable doubt, we certainly are permitted to do that, but guess what? It is Judge Aquilina's instruction that you must follow, and she will tell you that a reasonable doubt is a fair, honest doubt, growing out of the evidence or lack of evidence. It is not merely an imaginary or possible doubt, but a doubt based on reason and common sense. A reasonable doubt is just that, a doubt that is reasonable after a careful and considered examination of the facts and circumstances of this case. And that sort of merges all of your definitions together. Juror number 4, if I pick you, or you, or excuse me, if we pick you collectively to be a juror in this case, will you hold me to a higher burden than the one that Judge Aquilina is going to read, or will you hold me to her burden of proof? Her burden. All right. Is there anyone on this panel who will hold the people to a higher burden of proof than Judge Aquilina's burden? That's a no. All right. The last question is kind of fun. Do we have any watchers of CSI Miami, CSI Nashville, CSI anything? We have, come on, guilty pleasure, anybody? All right, there we go. Juror number 11, do you understand that TV and reality are not the same? All right. We do not go to central casting to get the best, most compelling actors to play roles. We have regular, normal people who don't like to talk in front of other people and who are young. You throw them up on the witness stand, you have to listen to them. Are you gonna require me to produce CSI Miami, or will you be able to understand the difference?
I will be able to understand the difference.
Is there anyone who required, I know juror number 8 does not. Listen, is there anybody who would require me to put on that type of television caliber show, or do we all understand that we're dealing with regular people in our community? Okay. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to let my colleague, Mr. Austin, speak to you. I know he's going to have some very interesting probative questions for you, but before I do, I don't get a chance to talk to any of you. I only get to talk to new people. What we are looking for on behalf of the people is a clean slate. We do not want people who are biased for the prosecutor. We do not want people who are biased for the defense or against the prosecutor or against the defense. Just a clean slate. Is there anything anyone like to bring to my attention about your background, anything that would, you believe, prohibit you from being a fair and impartial juror during number 14?
My background, I was married to a police officer, worked at Eaton County Sheriff's Department, then he went to Lansing Police Department, and he's currently working at Michigan State University. He was divorced for 10 years.
Okay.
And my brother worked at the jail for 25 years, and he is in security at the Hall of Justice right now.
And that's great. Thank you. Because, you know, that's outside the scope of my questions. That's why I kind of throw in the catch. Well, no, that's perfect. Let's talk about that. So your ex-husband was on LPD and Ingham County Sheriff. And I don't want to pry too much into your life, but anything about the fact that you were, I would say, previously married to a police officer that would make you biased against police officers?
Is that a no?
No.
Okay. Do you have any biases or prejudice against police officers? I know you answered this, but in any way because of that relationship?
No.
Conversely, if you say, hey, I'm going to believe anything a police officer said, I was with one for a long time, or just kind of.
Would I believe everything that they say?
Yeah.
No.
You would be able to apply Judge Aquilina's instruction to evaluate police officer testimony?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you said the jail, but you meant our jail in Mason?
Yes.
Ingham County.
Yes, sorry.
All right, so this is your brother-in-law now that works there?
My brother works at the Hall of Justice.
Okay.
That's my brother.
Can you tell me your brother's name, please?
Matt Waters.
Okay. Anything about what your brother Matt Waters does that would cause you to be biased one way for or against either side in this case?
No.
Okay. Anything about any of these relationships that might cause you to be biased one way or the other?
No.
Okay. Thank you. That was really helpful. Like juror 14, is there anything anyone else would like to bring to my attention before I sit down that could prohibit you or be part of this equation of you being a fair and impartial juror? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. On behalf of defendants.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Folks in the gallery, good afternoon as well. Again, my name is Jared Austin, and I'm very proud to stand here and represent Mr. Martez Anderson. And we've already had a lot of discussions about some of the issues in this case and some of the topics that may come up as it relates to the various issues or the law. And I'm going to talk more about that with you as well. And it's possible that there may be something from your past experiences or your line of work or any number of things that may impact your impartiality in this case. And I join Mr. Crino in saying that there are no right or wrong answers in this case. There are your answers. And all we ask is that you be, truthful and upfront with us, and we promise to do the same in return. And it may be possible that we believe that there may be something that may impact your ability to sit as a juror in this case. That is our best guess based upon what limited interaction and information that we have. So please, if you are dismissed, please try not to take it personally. Was there anybody that had a really strong reaction when you heard what the charges were in this case?
Seeing no
Not
hands
seeing
raised.
anyone?
Yeah. So if you do want to respond, if you could raise your hand instead of shaking heads, if there's a yes, otherwise we'll presume there's a no, and counsel, you'll make that record. Thank you.
Yes. And courts of law have certain rules and procedures, as we've already discussed. The court's going to instruct you on what the law is, and it's up to us, the lawyers, to make sure that those rules are being properly followed. And we do that by making objections. If either side makes an objection during this trial, it's not because we're trying to slow things down or suppress the truth. It's because we believe that evidence may be trying to introduce that is proper according to the rules. And it's our job to do that. And it's going to be up to the judge to make a ruling on that. So if I were to make objections during this trial, is anyone going to hold that against me or hold that against Mr. Anderson in any way? Not seeing anyone. And we've talked a lot about the law and everyone promising to follow the law as you're instructed, even if you disagree with it. And maybe this may have been talked about some, but I don't think in as much detail. As jurors, you will learn that your role is you get to decide and determine what the facts in this case are. And you get the final say in determining on what the facts in this case are. Does anyone think that they would have a problem and not feel comfortable doing that or not be able to do that? Number 7, good afternoon. What are your thoughts on that? Okay. And I believe you stated earlier that you were childhood friends with the detective in this case. Is that correct?
Correct.
And have you kept in contact with Detective McGonigal much since childhood?
No, we're friends on Facebook, and so I will, like a post here and there, but we're not in touch.
Okay. And would that impact your ability in any way, you believe, to sit as a juror in this case? Okay. Would you be automatically inclined to believe her or any other police officer witnesses automatically just based upon that prior friendship?
Human and possibly.
And do you think you would be able to sit and listen to the testimony and see if it makes sense and do a credibility analysis on the witnesses in this case? Okay. And is there anything about your prior relationship with the detective you think would affect your ability to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case? Okay. Thank you. And we've talked a little bit already about the burden of proof in this case. People have the sole burden of proof in this case. Mr. Anderson does not have a burden or a duty to prove or to disprove anything. Is there anybody here that likes to bake or cook a lot? That usually gets some hands. Juror number 6. I saw you had your hand up. What do you like to bake, cook, or both?
Both.
Okay. And has anybody had an experience where you're baking something or cooking something, you're going through the recipe, you're looking through the ingredients, and then you discover, you're missing one ingredient. But you go ahead and say, well, I'm going to go ahead and make it anyway. It's just one ingredient. It probably won't make a difference and it just ruins the whole batch. Has anybody had an experience with that? Juror number 6, I see you agreeing with that. So the elements in this case are kind of like ingredients in a recipe. People have the burden of proving, as you will be instructed, not just some of the elements, but all of the elements, each and every one, and each and every one beyond a reasonable doubt. If you were selected to sit as a juror in this case, is everyone going to hold them to that burden and make them prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt? Okay, a lot of heads shaking yes. Is there anybody here that believes that they would not do that or would not be able to do that? Not seeing anyone. Juror number 4, good afternoon. Let's say one of the charges in this case had 4 elements to it. And you're back there in the jury room deliberating and you believe the prosecutor has proven 3 of those 4 elements beyond a reasonable doubt, but not the 4th one. What would your verdict be in that situation?
You gotta take in more information.
Okay. And let's say that you had a reasonable doubt about one of those elements. You believe they had proven some of them, but not all the elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty in that situation?
I can't answer so.
If the court instructed you that it is the people's burden to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt, and if they have not proven each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt, that you would have to render a verdict of not guilty, would you be able to do that?
Yes, I would try.
And you said you said you would try?
Yeah.
Is there something that would lead you to believe that you may not be able to fully follow that?
So, 3 things about something and really 1 is off, I would be more likely to kind of.
Okay. And if you were to receive an instruction that you could only render a verdict of guilty if you believed that all of the elements had been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, would you be able to follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have any thoughts on that topic that they would like to share or talk about? You're number 10, good afternoon. And how about you? If you were selected to sit as a juror in this case, would you hold the prosecutor to his burden of proof that he would have to prove all the elements beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yeah.
And same scenario, let's say you got back there and you were looking through the elements to one of the charges. And let's, just for the sake of the hypothetical, say that there's 4 elements. You believe that people had proven beyond a reasonable doubt 3 of those elements, but you had a reasonable doubt about the 4th element. What would your verdict be in that situation?
And to prove all 4. And they're going 3 to prove.
And would you have any hesitation about doing that in that hypothetical situation?
That's what I was told to do. That's what I was told to do. And I was in the military for a while, so when I was supposed to do something, especially from that high up, we're trying not to follow.
Okay. And you would be able to follow the law or those instructions even if you didn't agree with it or think that maybe it should be something else? And does anybody want to be heard on that? Does anybody think that they would not be able to follow the law or the judge's instructions, even if they disagreed with it or thought that it should be something else or something different? You're number 1, good afternoon. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree, I would be able to follow that.
Okay. And you talked a little bit earlier about you believe that you may recognize one of the names of the witnesses in this case as someone you may have gone to high school with. Is that correct? And that's Cameron Washington. Have you kept in contact with that person since high school?
Just follow each other on social media.
Okay. And from doing that, do you believe that you have heard or seen anything as it relates to this case in any way?
Yeah.
And is there anything about your high school relationship with Cameron Washington that would interfere with your ability to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case? Okay. And this was discussed a little bit, I think, at the beginning when everyone come in and it was a part of some of the initial questions the court was asking. But as you've already heard, there's multiple accusations in this case. Mr. Anderson is accused of committing more than one charge in this case. Does anyone think simply because he has multiple accusations against him that makes it likely or more likely that he's guilty, or that he must be guilty of something simply because he's accused of doing more than one thing wrong in this case? Yes, juror number 4.
To be completely honest, when she read them off earlier, when she said that he had a gun, instantly, I was like, that basically like, kind of, I'm not saying of where you're guilty of killing, but in my mind, it was like, oh my God.
Okay.
That was instantly.
No, and I appreciate you speaking out on that. Is it because the charge or some of the charges involve a firearm, or is it the fact that there's more than one charge, or both?
Basically, almost like a problem. After that, I will obviously have no good intentions.
And given that strong reaction that you have to that, do you think that you would be able to sit as a juror in this case and treat Mr. Anderson fairly? Given that, do you believe you would be able to start this trial with the presumption that Mr. Anderson is completely innocent? And so when you're saying try, does that mean that you may have some little thing in the back of your mind that may give you some hesitation that you may not be able to do that? Okay. Well, and again, like we've both been saying from the beginning, all that we ask is people be upfront and honest. And again, there's no wrong answers here. And we just want everyone to be able to speak up and have the ability to speak freely and speak candidly. So I appreciate that.
So, sir, is it just because of you heard he had a gun that you have these reservations?
Yeah.
Okay, but let me just take it a step further. Would you agree with me that there are certain times it's a good idea to have a gun?
Yes.
Okay, and some people are licensed to have guns? Okay, and some people use them in self-defense? And it's okay in your mind to do that, is that correct?
Yeah.
So, like you, and it's interesting to me because people always think that judges know all about the case. I don't even get police reports, and that's because they could want a bench trial. So I know a little bit more than you because there's motions and other things I see that you would never see. However, I don't know what's happened here either, so I can't tell you. But can you listen to the facts and then decide whether or not that gun that he may or may not have had played a role before you make up your mind, or does that gun really sit with you in a negative way?
I mean, it does set me in a negative way, because like you're saying, like, yes, people, right, automatically, I'm assuming, and it's just a last one, I'm assuming that if he has a charge against it, he didn't have it legally.
Okay.
So
there's already strike one.
that's what I.
You're excused then. Thank you for your honesty. Is there anyone else who feels that way? All right, stand up. Let's take care of this now. right, I need to, know your juror number. Ma'am, your juror number.
197.
And what is the issue?
It's kind of the same thing. Just have it on our list. Plus in general, I don't like guns, so.
All right, you're excused.
Hold on, can we please, Your Honor?
Yeah.
That's why you have nothing. I was like, man, I have nothing.
All right. Ma'am, your number?
143.
And what's the issue?
I'm a firm believer in concealed carry weapons, but I believe that you're responsible person who gets special training.
So have you already decided he hasn't had special training, doesn't have a license, and didn't have a reason?
Well, based on the accusation, I don't feel like that would be a charge if that was true.
Well, would you agree with me that people get charged for things they did not do?
I feel like you could, if you were charged and arrested for that, you would be able to present the training for a concealed weapon. So that charge wouldn't come to you.
So do you think that everyone who's been charged must have done something?
No, but you did say that the charge was for a concealed weapon, and I feel like if you had proper training and a permit, you would, if I were arrested for that and I had that, I would provide that when I was arrested, or I'd be able to show proof of that so that it wasn't charged.
So have you already made up your mind on any of these charges?
Not necessarily, you just asked how I felt about that charge, and I'm telling you.
Okay, so I just need you to be fair and impartial to both sides. So there is some room from what you're telling me to be open to an explanation, is that correct?
I feel like, are you saying somebody would be charged with carrying a concealed weapon legally and still be carrying a legal permit for that?
There's, you know what, I have seen it all. And I'm sure I'll see many things I haven't anticipated. So I can't tell you, I don't know the facts of this, but I have seen people wrongly charged or people with the same name, or there's just lots of things that I have seen. So can you remain open until you hear the case, or have you already made up your mind that he must have done something because he had a gun?
I feel yes, based on those charges, that yes, they're, to me, if he could prove that he could legally carry a concealed weapon, there wouldn't be a charge.
And Your Honor, we approach.
Yeah. All right, ma'am, you're excused. All right, sir, in the front, what's your number?
122.
And what is the issue?
Kind of the first.
I don't want kinda, I want
Well,
specifically.
What the first two people said, they were really like made pretty good, just made some pretty good points, kind of just made my opinion.
What if police got the identification of the defendant Ron?
But I'm also young, so I know how to, I've been accused of certain stuff. So it's just, I don't really.
So you just said you're young and you've been accused of stuff, and I get that. So can you keep an open mind on this case and make a decision after you've heard all the evidence, or have you already
I
decided?
feel like I've already heard enough to kind of make my decision.
What would your decision be? You're excused, sir. Ma'am, what is your number?
118.
118?
Yes.
And what is the issue?
When I heard that he had a gun and what the charges were, I assumed that he was not really allowed to carry that gun, and then it completely biased me on his guilt.
And what if the defense is able to prove he wasn't even there, they got the wrong person? Would you keep an open mind till the end? Or have you already made up your mind because?
Why would he be sitting here if they got the wrong person?
Well, like people have the same names, but my sister is 7 years younger than me, and she and I get confused all the time. In fact, people then say, "Are you twins?" And I say, "Well, she's the older one." So, which really pisses her off. But anyway, so people get confused about identities. Would you stand, I don't know what the defense is, and so I'm not saying that is the defense, but can you keep an open mind, or you just, with the gun issue, you
Kind of made a
figured?
decision after hearing what.
Excuse, ma'am, appreciate your honesty. All right, sir, what's your number?
185.
185?
185.
And what is the issue?
My only issue would be is that, as Phyllis have explained, I'm hearing about the weapon charges, multiple charges, would just be open about if that's gonna be an extra. We'd like to keep an open mind and understand what is being presented to me before the trial starts.
So you can keep an open mind, you're curious.
Yes.
Sounds to me that you're curious what happened, but you can keep an open mind, listen to the evidence, and then make up your mind, or is it something different than
I
that?
believe I can, but want to be open with the fact that I as well. Out of the gate, it's an extra thing that we have to do.
I'm gonna have you have a seat. Sir, what is your number?
140.
And what's your issue?
So I'm in the same boat as juror 118, the lady in front. I kind of decided like right away that, you know, with the charges presented that, you know, I kind of just started to think against them. I don't want to be that juror that's gonna just kind of be one-sided like that. And I mean, I'm an open-minded guy, but when it comes down to it, I'm kind of just straightforward and blunt, so.
So have you already made up your mind, or can you keep it open for other explanations as to what happened?
Unfortunately, I feel like I've already made up my mind.
You're excused.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Counsel, we're going to fill juror seat 4 before you proceed. As to seat 4.
Full sequence 6, juror seat 4.
Thank you. And Mr. Carino, I will, prior to asking about peremptories, you can certainly ask questions or waive that for that route, whatever you want to do, and ask later.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. And you may proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Mr. Austin, my apologies. Can we approach this 1 second, please?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, juror 4, because you've already gone through round 1 and sort of half of round 2, we're going to, so even if you might want to raise your hand, don't yet until Mr. Prino gets his opportunity, and then he'll address everybody again, okay? So we're not ignoring you, but we're going to wait till Mr. Prino's up again. All right, counsel, you may proceed.
All right, thank you, Judge. And so does anybody else want to be heard on that topic that we've been discussing? Is simply because there's multiple charges or because some of the charges involve firearms, is that going to impact your ability to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case? Is there anyone that is going to cause them to maybe start with the presumption that Mr. Anderson was there in the first place, or that he probably did have a gun? Juror number 5, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't, I'll be able to, yeah, I'm open-minded to hearing all, but I don't have any preconceived notion from the charges.
And you would be able to require that the prosecutor meet their burden of proof by proving all of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Are you able to start the trial presuming that Mr. Anderson is completely innocent of these allegations?
Yes.
Thank you. And you've heard, or you may be assuming that maybe since some of these charges and are assaultive in nature, that maybe there might be some evidence or testimony comes out in this case that might be what some people consider maybe a little gruesome, or may bother some people just due to the nature of these types of charges. Is that going to impact anybody's ability to sit as a juror in this case? Seeing a lot of people shaking their heads no, not seeing anyone nodding yes. Number 12, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know anything about the case. There's nothing I should make an opinion of, especially if she doesn't know any better. How would I? So that's my answer.
Good answer.
Very good answer. Is there anybody else that feels that they may not be able to do that? Not seeing anyone. Now, we've heard a lot of talk and had some discussions about the burden of proof in this case, how people have the sole burden of proof in this case. Mr. Anderson does not have any burden whatsoever. He does not have to prove, he does not have to disprove anything. Does anyone think that Mr. Anderson or someone in Mr. Anderson's position should have to have some type of burden, that he should have to prove something or to disprove something? Does anyone think that? You're welcome. Good afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't feel that he does, and that's not the way our system is set up. That's why you're here, to do that for him. So I don't believe that he does.
Okay. And would you require me on his behalf to prove something or to disprove something?
I guess it depends on the charges. I mean, either way, to prove or disprove, whatever the charges may be.
And are you going to require that the prosecutor prove all of the elements to you beyond a reasonable doubt before you would render a verdict of guilty?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And if the prosecutor failed to do that, would you be comfortable rendering a verdict of not guilty?
Yes, I would.
And is there anyone that would have any difficulty or reservations starting this trial with the presumption that Mr. Anderson is innocent? Is anyone thinking, we must have had all these investigations and hearings, and we're here at a trial. There's just no conceivable way that somebody could be innocent and be here on trial. Does anybody think that? Not seeing anybody shaking their head. Juror number 2, good afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. That's just the law.
And you would be able to start the trial with that presumption if you were to be selected as a juror in this case?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you think it's possible that someone could be here at a trial and be innocent of these allegations?
Yes.
Okay. And we've heard some discussion and some back and forth talking about credibility, how to judge and how to weigh credibility. And there were some discussions about, well, in being fair and impartial, well, we need to hear all the evidence and hear everything and not bring any outside bias or prejudice into that. How about if you were selected as a juror in this case and you never heard from Mr. Anderson in this case? He never testified. You don't know what his version of the events are. You don't know what he would have said. Is there anybody that would hold that against Mr. Anderson if he did not testify in this case? Number 3, good afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, there would be a level of, no, I understand his right to not testify.
Yes.
But at the same time, there would be that, okay, why not, but,
And there's always a natural inclination or curiosity, I suppose. So I can certainly appreciate that. Would that impact your ability as to how you judge or weigh the evidence in this case if you never heard from Mr. Anderson at this trial?
I mean, obviously, all the evidence, I would have to depend on that.
And let's say after the people had presented all their evidence to you, you heard from all their witnesses, you saw or heard whatever other kinds of evidence they showed you, maybe documents, photographs, videos, I don't know. And after all of that was done, you believe that they had not proven his guilt to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty in that case, even if you never heard from Mr. Anderson and you have no idea what his version of the events are?
I think so.
Okay. And is there anybody here that believes they would not be able to do that? I think I'm going to have to hear from him before I could render a verdict of not guilty. Is there anybody here that believes that? You're number 9. Good afternoon. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, in my heart, I'd want him to tell the truth and to tell that why he's pleading not guilty, but that's not how it works. And so I would have to go with the rules.
Okay.
That's why we live here.
And would you hold that against him in any way if he chose not to testify? And would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty if you believe the prosecutor had not proven his guilt to you beyond a reasonable doubt, even if you never heard from Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. And again, is there anybody here that believes they would not be able to do that? How about, let's say Mr. Anderson did testify. Is anybody going to judge his testimony by a different standard or hold him to a higher degree of scrutiny simply because he's the one accused of doing something wrong here?
Hold on a second. Objection, please.
And I did it.
Yeah. Our times in the catch.
Okay. So back to that topic. If Mr. Anderson were to testify, do you believe you would be judging his testimony or credibility like you would be evaluating the other witnesses? Or do you think that you would be evaluating it differently in some way? Juror number one, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I would view his word the same as everybody else's.
Okay. And is there anybody that disagrees with that or has a different thought or viewpoint on that? Juror number 14, good afternoon.
Hi.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'd be able to listen to his testimony just like everybody else.
Okay. And is there anybody that thinks that it's unfair or wrong that the people have the sole burden of proof in this case? Not seeing anyone. And does anyone think that people accused of a crime have too many rights? Number 12, good afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, I don't know anything about the case. I don't know if we even had the right guy. I don't know where he was. I mean, I don't know anything about his testimony at all, so I can't really give a bias.
And do you have any hesitation about sitting as a juror in this case? Would you be able to follow the laws the court instructs you, do you believe?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's say you find yourself in this scenario. Let's say the proofs have been submitted, all the testimony, all the evidence is done. You're back there in the room deliberating and then discussing the case with your other fellow jurors. And you fervently believe that the people have not met their burden of proof. You fervently believe that they have not proven guilt to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Your other fellow jurors disagree with you. Does anyone believe that they would change their vote, even though they didn't think that it was the right vote, just to appease everyone else, or just to get the case over with? Juror number 7, what are your thoughts on that? And does anyone believe that they would maybe feel too intimidated or not feel comfortable enough sitting in a room with your fellow citizens and discussing the case and maybe disagreeing with your fellow jurors? Does anybody believe that they would not be able to do that in this case?
Does anyone in the jury box know each other? Seeing no hands raised.
And I don't think this is a topic that's been discussed yet. Has anyone had any prior jury service? Has anyone served as a juror before? Before I see your hand, so, and I think we will address that, I think when Mr. Crino gets back up here first, maybe we can talk about that. So promise you, we're not ignoring you or trying to be rude. And juror number 3, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I served in Texas. I lived in Texas for 15 years.
And was that did you serve as a juror in a criminal case or in a civil case?
It was an insanity. It was, we had to determine if he was, mental stable to stand before.
Okay.
Court.
Okay. And I don't want to get into what the decision or verdicts or anything like that was, but can you tell me, was the jury that you served on in that case, were they able to reach a decision in that case? Yes. Okay. Is there anything about that prior jury service that would make you have any hesitation about sitting as a juror in this case?
No.
Okay. And if you were to be instructed on the law in this case that you think was different or conflicted with what you were previously instructed in that case, would you be able to disregard that and follow the law as the court instructs you in this case?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And is there anything anybody wants to address or talk about that they think I should know or that they think would impact your ability to sit as a juror in this case? All right, not seeing any. All right, thank you all very much.
For cause on behalf of the people.
Your Honor, thank you. None for cause on behalf of the people.
On behalf of defendant, for cause.
None for cause, Your Honor. Thank you.
On behalf of the people, peremptory, and you may do multiples.
Thank you. The people would respectfully thank and excuse the 2 following jurors, juror number 8 and juror number 3.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And on behalf of defendant, any peremptories at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, one moment. Your Honor, we wish to thank but excuse jurors number 1 and 7.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As to juror seat 8,
Pool sequence 45, juror seat 8.
juror seat 3,
Pool sequence 55, juror seat 3.
juror seat 1,
Pool sequence 193, juror seat 1.
juror seat 7,
Pool sequence 168, juror seat 7.
when you're ready, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, let me jump right in here. Juror number 8, good afternoon.
Okay.
So I went through an outline of questions. I'm not going to torture you with all the questions again. I talked about media coverage, employment history, which we'll get to, people's jobs in this case, types of evidence, burden of proof, sympathy, aiding and abetting. That was the basic topics and everything that arose from that. Okay. Did you hear all those questions, ma'am?
I did, yeah.
Can you first tell me what you do for a living?
I am a chief of staff in the state center.
All right. Are you a lawyer?
I have a law degree. I don't practice, but,
All right. How long have you had your law degree, please?
I graduated spring of 24.
24, okay. What are your duties as chief of staff at the Senate?
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
I work for the Senator out of Dearmore. He chairs the Department of Health and Human Services Subcommittee, like Appropriations Subcommittee.
Gotcha.
Vice chairs Civil Rights, Judiciary.
All right.
Public Safety.
Gotcha. All right. Are you bar admitted?
No.
Okay. Have you ever practiced in the criminal area, either maybe when you were a legal intern, clerk, anything like that? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I worked at a private firm in county while I was in law school.
Oh, can you tell me the firm, please?
Doesn't exist anymore, but the law office is repulsing.
They do criminal practice over there, right? Yeah, okay.
I wasn't heavily involved in it, but I did draft briefs and do the whole thing.
Gotcha, very good. All right.
What about, I'm sorry, what about on judiciary? Are you involved in drafting or working with the bill drafters on?
The LSB does bill drafting.
Right,
We
I
do
know that.
Review legislation and obviously advocate for what we have.
All right, thank you. Anything else you'd like to bring to my attention? First of all, have you heard anything about this case?
No.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to bring to my attention in all the questions that we talked about, anything that could inhibit you from being a fair and impartial juror as on both sides in this case? Okay, thank you. Juror number 3. Good afternoon, sir. Tell me what you do for a living, please.
I'm a financial aid officer at Michigan State University.
All right. How long have you been doing that for?
About 4 years.
Have you heard anything about this case?
I have not.
Is there anything that you'd like to bring to my attention based on all the questions that we discussed? We talked about juror job, judging credibility, applying the law that Judge Aquilina gives, burden of proof, all those things. Anything you'd like to bring to my attention?
That I can think of.
Sir, do you have, first of all, do you have any biases or prejudices against any person of color or any socioeconomic status, anything of that nature?
No, I
Whose law will you follow in this case?
the judge.
Okay, do you think that you, if selected in this case, could listen to the facts, decide what those facts are, and apply those facts to the law that Judge Aquilina reads you?
Yes.
Is there anything that you feel would inhibit you from being fair and impartial in this case?
No, I do not.
All right, thank you. All right, juror number 4, finally you get to speak. I'm sorry about that, Sarah. Can you tell me what you do for a living, please?
I'm a control.
I'm sorry.
I'm a controls engineer.
Tell me what that means.
I work on large automated logistics facilities like Amazon's, businesses like that.
And do you work with a company or are you on your own doing stuff like that? Can you tell me, since I don't know anything about that field, what is your educational background to get into that type of work?
I have a bachelor's in electrical engineering.
Interesting. All right. How long have you been doing that line of work?
5.5 years.
Have you heard anything about this cause, sir?
No.
Who decides what the law is in this case? And who decides what the facts are? Do you have any problem sitting in credibility and judgment of another person's credibility? Do you believe that you have any biases and prejudices in the way that we've described that would make you not a fair and impartial juror in this cause?
I don't believe in it.
Do you have any biases either for or against the people or for or against the defense in this case?
No.
In my initial questions to the jury, we talked about a clean slate, fair and impartial. Do you think you're that type of juror, sir?
I do.
All right, thank you. All right, so I've talked to 8 and looking at juror number 1. Sir, what do you do for a living?
I am a research administrator. I help faculty submit grants.
Are you at Michigan State University?
Yes.
What is your particular area of specialty, sir?
Federal grants, state grants, foundation grants, and before that, I was working in research labs, doing DNA, RNA, protein, things like that.
All right, so it sounds like your area of specialty is science. You're a scientist by nature?
By nature, but I work for Extension and assist faculty throughout the entire state.
All right. What is your educational background, please, sir?
I have a bachelor's in biology and chemistry.
Do you have either a master's or a PhD, sir? Okay. So have you heard anything about this case, sir? All right. Again, I assume that you listened and followed the rules and have heard all the things we're talking about. And I think you probably get a sense what the people are looking for here. We don't want anybody that's biased or prejudiced. We want you to listen to all the evidence in this case. We want you to go back, deliberate collectively, and make a decision only on the evidence as to what the facts are. Apply it to the law that only Judge Aquilina gives you, okay? Are you a juror who could do that, or is there anything that might prohibit that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything you want to bring to my attention, sir? Juror number 7, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell me what you do for a living, please?
Yeah, I'm a physician and pathologist fellow. So, I've been here for 8 years, and before that, I was at University of Miami for residency and fellowship training. Before that, I was a scientist working in lab at the University of Miami.
Okay, fantastic. So you are a physician, MD physician?
Correct.
And could you tell me your subspecialty again, please?
Pathology.
Pathology. Are you a forensic pathologist?
Very good question. I was going to say if I need to disclose. I mean, not forensic pathologist, but I did my rotation, the medical examiner, Miami Dade medical examiner.
Yes.
1 month as a required rotation to be
Right.
able to do it. So I did do 50 autopsies.
Okay, interesting. So my understanding, and I don't mean to be an armchair physician, but anatomical, clinical, and forensic pathologies are basically the 3 subspecialties for pathology, correct?
A lot.
Okay.
Sorry. So anatomic pathology, clinical pathology, that's a general pathology. So I'm board certified for both. After that, I did a fellowship with hematopathology. So my subspecialty is in leukemia and lymphoma, hematopathology. So I'm not subspecialized in forensic pathologies, but we do have 3 forensic pathology.
All right, and you have done 50 autopsies. Were those forensic autopsies for certifying cause and manner?
Not, some of them are forensic because hospital-based autopsies nowadays just getting less and less. We don't get enough lumber for like graduate. And if we have enough in the hospital-based autopsies, we are done. But if we don't, we send us to medical examiner. That's the case happened on me. So I was sent to medical examiner.
All right. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate all of that information. Very interesting. Have you heard anything about this case?
No.
We are looking for people who are not biased or prejudiced against either side. And are there any biases or prejudices that you may have based on our questions that could prohibit you from being a fair juror to the people and to the defense?
I don't know if it will, but when I heard the 2 cases are 20 or 10, 20, 21 years old, it's really hurt my heart. It's like 20 years old, you know? So I cannot imagine what parents was through, and it was me, and this is the end of my world, period. I just can't, I cannot go further. And when I heard that, I just like, you know, really, it's so hurt.
Right. Thank you for telling me that. And it's interesting because a lot of times in homicide cases, one of the instructions we'll talk about, and it's an instruction you'll get in this case too, it's this idea of sympathy. And so what Judge Aquilina is going to tell you is that you must set aside sympathy for the victim in this case, the person that was shot. You must set aside sympathy for the person that is on trial. You have to just look at the cold, hard facts. And it's kind of difficult because we're all sort of empathetic people, right? But you do have to set aside sympathy. Do you think you would be able to set aside the sympathy that you might feel for the alleged victim, or would that overwhelm your decision-making process?
I was my best. It was reached some point when I cannot handle anymore, when I didn't know.
Okay. So you certainly would try your best to set aside sympathy?
Be fair, no bias.
And would you follow Judge Aquilina's instructions that she gave to you? Yes. Okay, great, thank you.
Now, counsel said that there, and I have not seen them, but there's some difficult pictures perhaps, or some evidence. Will you be able to look at that despite having a child?
Yeah, I wrote it in forensic pathology, you know,
So, yes, but knowing kind of that empathy part of you, you can set that aside in this case.
I was trying my best. At least reached some point I cannot handle anymore. I would have known immediately.
May proceed.
All right, thank you. Juror number 4, I did want to ask you, I forgot. Thank you very much, juror number 7, Doctor, I appreciate it. Juror number 4, you did raise with Mr. Austin that you had sat on a jury at one time, and I think you said that was in Texas?
He said
That was the gentleman next to you, in the state of Michigan,
yes.
in Ingham County? It was in a big courtroom like this, or was it in the small courtrooms?
It was this one.
All right, was it actually in front of Judge Aquilina?
No.
Okay. How long ago did you sit on a jury, sir?
It was 1.5 years ago.
Was it a criminal case?
Civil.
Okay. And were you able to reach a verdict in that case?
Yes.
All right. So the last 4 people I talked to, I just want to let you know, is there any, I won't have an opportunity to speak to you again. Juror number 8, juror number 2, juror number 7, and juror number 3. Is there anything that you'd like to bring to my attention before I sit down? Again, I won't have a chance to talk to you again. Is there anything you'd like to bring to my attention that could prohibit you from being fair and impartial? I see one hand. All right, juror number 8, please.
Not on that topic, but I do want to clarify with Judge Aquilina that I do initiate the bill drafting process, like sometimes.
Okay, so have you worked on criminal legislation related to any of the issues that you have heard here are the charges? Does that make sense? Have you heard?
Okay, so the conversation of aiding and abetting earlier, yes. That's probably the closest topic here that touches on it. Most of it is like prison reform or things.
Okay, so knowing what you know, you have a specialized knowledge. Can you leave your legal training, legislative training outside, listen to my instructions, and follow the lies I give it to you in the evidence here? Yes. You may proceed.
I have no further questions. Thank you, juror number 8. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, defendant.
Good afternoon to our new jurors, which I believe are 1, 3, 4, 7, and 8. So I guess I'll just start through the line here and go in order. Juror number 1, good afternoon. And before I begin, is there anything about any of the topics or issues that I've been discussing that you would especially like to be heard on? Okay. Is there any reason that you can think of why you would not be able to sit as a juror in this case? Or if you are selected to sit as a juror in this case, would you require the people prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt? And if the people fail to do that, would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty? Anything about being in the deliberation process that makes you uncomfortable? You think you would feel uncomfortable to speak up if you're maybe in a minority position about something? And are you going to require that Mr. Anderson prove or disprove anything? Are you able to start with the presumption that Mr. Anderson is innocent? Anything about the charges, nature of the charges, or the number of charges that you believe would make it difficult for you to sit as a juror in this case? And if Mr. Anderson didn't testify in this case, you never heard from him, would you hold that against him in any way?
Is that a no?
All right, thank you. And juror number 3, good afternoon. Is there anything about the topics or issues I've been discussing that you would especially like to be heard on?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Is there any reason you can think of why you would not be able to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case?
Not that I can think of, no.
And you believe you'll be able to follow the law in this case as the court instructs you, even if you may disagree with it or think that it should be something else?
Yes.
Okay. And would you hold it against Mr. Anderson in any way if he didn't testify in this case?
No.
If he did testify in this case, do you think you would evaluate his testimony the same or differently from any of the other ones?
It'd be the same.
Okay. Is there anything about the nature of the charges or the number of charges that would make you hesitate for sitting as a juror in this case?
No.
And juror number 4, good afternoon. Same question. Anything about anything I've been discussing or talking about that you would especially like to be heard on?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Anything about your prior service as a juror in a civil case that you believe would make it difficult for you to sit as a juror in this case?
No.
Okay. Any reason that you can think of why you would not be able to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case?
I cannot think of a reason.
And are you going to require him to prove or disprove anything? And if you believe that the prosecutor had not proven each and every element to you beyond a reasonable doubt, would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty in that case?
Yes.
Any issues about being in a setting with your fellow citizens and discussing topics, and you think you would be afraid to speak up if your opinion happens to be in the minority opinion? Thank you. Number 7, good afternoon. Is there anything about any of the topics or issues I've been discussing that you would especially like to be heard on? Any reason that you can think of why you would not be able to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case?
No.
Any reason you could think of why you would not be able to follow the law in this case? Your number 8, good afternoon. And I bet you're gonna know what I'm gonna ask you first. Anything about anything I've been talking about you would especially like to have been heard on? Okay. Any reason that you could think of why you would not be able to sit as a juror in this case? And it sounds like from your legislative work that maybe you've had some experience in looking at or researching maybe some areas of criminal law, is that correct? Okay. Is it anything that you're overly passionate about, either for or against? You think maybe the law is too strict or too lenient or anything like that?
I wouldn't say there's anything I'm overly passionate about. It's a policy area that I focus on.
Okay. And is that anything that would impact your ability to sit as a juror in this case? Would it impact your ability to treat Mr. Anderson fairly? Okay. And would you be able to follow the instructions on the law as the court gives you? Even if you may think that it conflicts with something else that you maybe have read or researched somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay. don't know if it was asked of all our new prospective jurors or not, but of any of our new prospective jurors, I know 4's already talked about this, but jurors 1, 3, 7, or 8, have either of you had any prior service as a juror in any type of case?
No.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the people, for cause.
Thank you. None for cause on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
On behalf of defense, for cause.
None for cause, Your Honor. Thank you.
On behalf of the people, peremptory, and you may do multiple.
Thank you. We have one peremptory challenge, Your Honor. People with respectfully thank and excuse juror number 8.
Thank you. On behalf of defense, peremptory.
Just one moment, Your Honor, if I may. Your Honor, we would like to thank but excuse juror number 7.
Thank you. As to juror seat 8.
Pool sequence 200, juror seat 8.
And juror seat 7.
Pool sequence 86, juror seat 7.
When you're ready, Mr. Crino.
Well, with one page here now, Your Honor, for all this.
That's good.
Juror number 7, good afternoon. Can you repeat all the questions that I've asked you today? We gotta do something to break the ice. We've been talking to each other for like 8 hours. Nobody's eaten anything, so thank you so much. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Can you tell me what you do for a living, please? Okay, and tell me what your job duties are as a caseworker. I think I know, but tell me what they are, please.
Process, mitigating, assistance.
Okay, very good. How long have you been doing that kind of work? 17 years, okay. Very good, thank you. Have you heard anything about this case, media or otherwise? Okay. So, like I was teasing you, answer all my questions. I know you've been sitting there listening attentively, and I think you probably know what we're looking for in this case. We want people who are not biased for the people, for the defense, against the people, against the defense. And we all come to this room with different biases and prejudices. Do you have any issues you'd like to bring to our attention? No. Okay. Do you have ever had an unpleasant interaction with a police officer or anything like that that would cause you to be biased or prejudiced against police officers? Okay. Do you understand that Judge Aquilina is the person who reads the law in this case, and that we're to follow Judge Aquilina's law, even if we don't agree with it? Does that make sense to you? Are you a person who should follow Judge Aquilina's law? Your job is to sit in judgment of someone's credibility, their believability. Do you have any moral or ethical reasons why you might not do that? Would you be able to follow some of the rules that Judge Aquilina gives for how you look at people's credibility when they testify? All right. You understand burden of proof. We have the burden of proof to prove beyond the reasonable doubt, to remove that sort of cloak of innocence that we talked about. Does that all make sense to you? The burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt as defined by the court, ma'am. Is that something that you can follow? Would you hold me to a different standard, or would you be able to follow that beyond a reasonable doubt standard that Judge Aquilina reads to you? All right. So before again, it's the last time we get a chance to talk to you, is there anything that you'd like to bring to my attention that would cause us any concern that you're for or one side for the other? All right, great. Thank you so much. Juror number 8. Good afternoon. Tell me what you do for a living, please.
I'm an insurance underwriter.
How long have you been doing that kind of work? Was it too long? That was a good answer, because you might ask me the same question, but,
Over 36 years.
all right, too long?
Yes.
All right, so I want to, you've heard, been listening, I know intently to all the questions. Do you have anything you'd like to bring to my attention? What about your interactions with police officers? Anything that would cause you any concern? Do you have any biases or prejudices against police officers? Do you think you could listen and accept the police officer's testimony the same as anybody else? Do you feel like you have any other type of biases or prejudice, race, socioeconomic status, gender, anything that might prohibit you from being fair and impartial? Okay. You understand that I have the burden of proof to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, correct? And who defines beyond a reasonable doubt? The court gives you the definition?
I'm sorry, I thought you meant the facts, yes, correct.
Right, and follow up, who defines the facts? You do, correct? All right. Sympathy, punishment, potential for penalty, all those things you cannot consider in this case. Is that something that you would be able to set aside and deliberate just on the cold, hard facts? I won't have a chance to talk to you again, so I need to know, is there anything that would prohibit you from being fair and impartial if you're selected as a juror in this case? Okay, great, thanks so much.
On behalf of the defendant.
To our new jurors, I believe 7 and 8, good afternoon. And so start with juror number 7. Is there anything about any of the issues or topics that I've been talking about that you would especially like to be heard on? Is there any reason you can think of that you would not be able to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case? Any reasons that you can think of why you would not be able to follow the law in this case? And let's say Mr. Anderson didn't testify in this case. You never heard from him or what his version of the events were. Would you hold that against him? Would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty if you believe the people had not proven his guilt to you beyond a reasonable doubt? Anything about the nature of the charges or the number of charges that would make you hesitate for sitting as a juror in this case? Have you had any prior jury service before? And you think someone like Mr. Anderson should have some type of obligation to prove or disprove something? Thank you very much. And juror number 8, good afternoon. Anything about any of the issues I've been talking about you would especially like to be heard on? Any reason you can think of why you would not be able to treat Mr. Anderson fairly in this case? And you think you would be comfortable in a setting deliberating and discussing the facts of the case with your fellow jurors?
Yes.
Do you think you would be afraid to speak up if your viewpoint may happen to be the minority viewpoint?
No.
Would you change your vote just to get the case over with, even though you didn't believe that that was the correct verdict?
No.
And would you hold it against Mr. Anderson in any way if he didn't testify in this case? How about if he did testify? Do you think you would be evaluating his testimony the same as the other witnesses, or do you think you would be evaluating it differently in some way? And if you believe the people had proven most of the elements to you beyond a reasonable doubt, but not all of them, would you be able to render a verdict of not guilty in that case?
Sorry, what was the answer? I couldn't-
Yes.
And are you going to be able to evaluate and go through each of the charges separately? Thank you.
I do have something to add. I
Okay.
have served on 2 cases already as a juror.
Okay, and was that in this county or a different county? Eaton County? Were those criminal cases or civil cases?
One of each.
Okay. And in the criminal case, can you remember what the charges were, what kind of case it was?
Shoplifting.
Okay. Certainly different than what we have here. Is there anything about that prior jury service that would make it difficult for you to sit as a juror in this case?
No.
Okay. And if you received an instruction from the judge in this case that you believe was in conflict with an instruction that you had heard in one of the other cases where you served as a juror, would you be able to disregard that and follow only the instructions that you're given in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And without telling us what the verdict was the jury able to reach a verdict in that criminal case?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the people for cause.
Thank you, Your Honor. None for cause.
On behalf of the defendant for cause.
None for cause, Your Honor. Thank you.
On behalf of the people peremptory.
All right, thank you. The people have no peremptory challenges. We're satisfied.
Thank you. On behalf of defendant.
One moment if I may, Your Honor.
You may.
Satisfied, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a jury. All right. Happy holidays to all of you. You're good for 1 year.